Call the council to order. We have a quorum present. Mayor White is out of town. My name is Glenn Strother. I'm Mayor Pro Tem, and I have the honor of serving you tonight. We're going to start with a workout, our workshop session here, which will be their presentation from Megan Rogers, who is our 2011 Youth Citizen of the Year here, and then we will recognize our 2012 Citizens of the Year nominees and announce the winners, and then we will talk a little bit about our session tonight, and then we will take a short break and we will start our regular meeting at 7 o'clock. So with that being said, I get to come up front. Oh, okay, I get to hear from Megan first, you're right. So Megan, if you can come on up, you need to speak into the microphone and bring your friends up and look into all the little cameras and then smile pretty. And Megan is going to do a nice little talk of what she did with the Roanoke Food Pantry, and to quote a word from Councilwoman Tiffany, what do you call this?
Skunk Works.
Skunk Works. That's an awesome job. So Megan, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Megan Rogers, and these are my friends, Sarah, Bree, and Serena. I also would like to introduce you to the Roanoke Food Pantry's director, Tinsy. Today we are concerning the Roanoke Food Pantry. We are trying to raise money to complete our goals of renovating the pantry. We first would like to buy a walk-in freezer cooler. Second, fix electrical wires and lights. We have met with an electrician and an architect. The electrician gave us an estimate of $1,650 to redo the wiring and circuits. The walk-in freezer cooler will cost from $6,000 to $10,000. We need your help to tell the community about this opportunity to help those who have helped us.
25 years ago, the Roanoke Food Pantry moved from the trunk of Judith Turner's car to the building it is in now. The building has had some wear and tear, but it still faithfully serves the need. Now the success of the Roanoke Food Pantry is depending on us to help with their needs. They face challenges in which we can help.
The Roanoke Food Pantry spends an astronomical amount of money on the air conditioning due to heat created by the 6 freezer coolers. A new walk-in freezer cooler will reduce the heat, thus reducing the cost of the building, the cost of cooling the building, as well as reducing the electrical cost of operating 6 freezers versus 1. The Roanoke Food Pantry will be able to save money, and these savings will enable the pantry to help more people in our community. We need your help to bring this attention to our neighbors.
Our goal might seem minor, but it'll touch the lives of many, including Dan and Tinsy. The Roanoke Food Pantry is in need of electric rewiring, walk-in freezer, cooler, and lighting. It'll benefit all of the volunteers and the people who come for help from the Roanoke Food Pantry. By bringing this to the attention of others, we can help make our community stronger. Thank you for inviting us tonight. If you have any questions, you can see us afterwards.
Great job, Megan. Y'all heard it, citizens of Trophy Club. They need our support. Roanoke Food Pantry is a very worthy cause, and if we can help them, and remember, that's all tax-deductible donations, which is a good part. Now I get to come down. Is that okay? You want me to read it up here?
She's like, yes, let's do him.
And I've got to get down to the microphone here, or they fuss at me.
Our past recipients up here.
And I have some past recipients here. I know Joel Keeley's here, right? Joel, come on up. And Kathy Trotter's here.
Miss Megan.
And Miss Megan. You're going to come up, you get to be famous one more time, and you get to help me out, pass certificates out, shake hands, and all this good stuff. So let's give our past recipients a great round of applause. Okay, we're going to start with our youth for 2012. Our first nominee is Rachel Freed. Rachel is, where's Rachel? There's, raise your hand, wave high. There you go, Rachel. Good job, Rachel. Rachel is a 13-year-old. She attends Medlin Middle School. And in the spring of 2012, Rachel was inducted in the Medlin Middle School National Junior Honor Society. That's a great achievement. In addition to the stringent academic requirements set forth by the NJHS, Rachel is required to fulfill 5 hours of community service every 6 weeks. Rachel fulfilled her community service requirements with several community service projects throughout 2012. Some of those projects included hosted a pony camp for incoming 6th grade students, shopping for the needy families, and the Beck and Lakeview Elementary School Field Day. She also received the Trustees Award of Excellence for Community Service in hours of 2012. So, Reagan, will you come up and get your certificate?
Miss Rachel.
Rachel, I'm sorry. Can't read it. My bad. Okay, our second nominee tonight is Jessica Hunter. Where's Jessie? Hi, Jessie. Jessie is also a 7th grader at Medlin Middle School with exemplary citizenship grades and volunteer hours that earned her the Silver Star for her community service every 6 weeks. She was inducted in Medlin Middle School National Junior Honor Society this year and was enrolled in 4 pre-app AP classes. That's a smart kid. Here we go. Take my job over. Probably can read better for me, too. Jessica wants to be a veterinarian and volunteers many hours at the J Ranch, where she cleans stalls, grooms horses, cares for injured animals, and mentors young children. She is a role model for others and displays an above and beyond attitude. Jessica always has a smile on her face. Yes, there it is. And offers to help no matter what work lies ahead. So, Jessica, come up. Good job. We got a lot of great kids tonight. This is awesome. Anna Tappan. Where's Anna? There's Anna. Okay. Sit there and smile, look pretty here, and then I'll let you go dance later, okay? Here we go. Anna is a 6th grader at Lakeview Middle School with a passion for making homeless mats for the homeless. She has participated in several community service projects over the last year, helping carry boxes and sort clothes with her church group at Mission Arlington. She assists the Lake Elementary library staff check in and check out of books and makes homeless mats for the homeless, like we said earlier. In addition, Anna helps support her sister at Bryland Orson High School speech and debate team by raising money through concessions and garage sales. Let's congratulate Anna. Good job. Congratulations. Okay. Brandon Michaelis, did I get that right? Brandon not here tonight? Well, we'll read Brandon anyway and give him a hand. Brandon's a 6th grader at Medlin Middle School with a great community work ethic shown by his multiple community service projects, and he was active in multiple Boy Scout projects throughout 2012, including renovating both the Rickenbaugh Elementary School Park in South Lake and the animal teaching habitat at Bob Jones Park. Brandon has also volunteered at the Church of Trophy Clubs, assisting food drives for Roanoke Food Pantry and helping provide Christmas gifts for the needy families through the Family Adoption Project. Let's give Brandon a big hand. Being nominated is a great honor. Then I have Jasmine Yakel. Okay. Jasmine's an 8th grader at Medlin Middle School with an exemplary citizenship grades, volunteer hours that earn her a Silver Star for her community service every 6 weeks. She has volunteered for the Trophy Club Women's Club at the North Texas Food Bank in Grand Prairie, Texas Trophy Club's Pet Fest the last 2 years, and has sung the national anthem at the Trophy Club Military Veterans Memorial Service in 2012. Congratulations. Please come forward and get your certificate. Okay, and finally, I'm going to kind of reverse language this and see if you can figure this out. Drum roll like this. She's a 12-year-old and 6th grader at Beck Elementary School. In addition to being an outstanding student, her history of volunteer activities and commitment to service to others. She's volunteered 105.5 hours at the Roanoke Public Library, helping the Summer Reading Fund. She also is involved in many community service projects, helping restore the Iron Gate at the entrance to the Churchill Downs neighborhood, printing out pictures at the Trophy Club Mud No. 1 Fire Department's open house, and then helping at a sign table for the first annual Find Santa 5K and Fun Run. In 2012, she also spent many hours with craft projects for the pre-K Sunday religious education at her church, St. Francis of Assisi. That's not right, is it? Assisi. Assisi. I knew I was going to mess that up. Catholic Church. And our award winner for the 2012 Youth of the Year is Peyton Areta.
Thank you.
Great job, Peyton. Thank you very much. Okay, team, we're going to move on to our adults here. Our first person tonight is Rhonda Ratter. There's Rhonda. Rhonda has been instrumental over the years by providing festive dinners to the Trophy Club Mud No. 1 Fire Department during the holidays. I know that because I've participated in some of those. Rhonda has also been gracious with her time and resources to ensure that the fire department has an enjoyable meal while they're away from their families and protecting the residents of Trophy Club. So Rhonda, please come up. Our second nominee for tonight is Miss Susan Estron. There, she's hiding way back there. Miss Susan is, as many of you know, has been very actively involved in Trophy Club for a number of years and is a formal council person for 11 years, I believe. Susan has been, and if you've been following Facebook, which I don't do a whole lot, but I understand she's extremely active in the animal rights advocate, and you'll see that all the time in the Facebook, which is an awesome deal. And it's called Trophy Club's Forever Friends, and successfully reunited many homeowners with their lost pets. She works tirelessly with the animal control officers, Kelly Atkin, our police chief, Scott Niffen, and Trophy Club Police Department staff to return lost animals to their owners via their website, Trophy Club Animals. So if you've lost a pet, contact Susan through the website. Susan also works hard to rehome animals that pet owners can't take home for any longer and prevent animals from being sent to the shelter. So Susan, please come up. Congratulations. Okay, and finally, going to announce our winners tonight, and it happens to be a tag team.
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay, I see. It's always good to have this 5 minutes before you get to present this stuff, so I just not quite following it. So I am going to read this. Tom and Louise are active and part board members. Lewis, I'm sorry, and board members who contributed an immense amount of time and energy to improve the beauty of the nature preserve area of the Trophy Club Park. Both Tom and Lewis helped improve conditions of the trail system by adding water drainage, gravel, and rocks. They've also helped remove tree branches and bushes as well as the cut tall grass along the trail. They are quick to pick up trash in the park and provide ideas to beautify areas of the park and help attract users. Tom and Lewis assist the Park and Rec Department by helping to install signs, posts, kiosks, as well as prepare information to include in the kiosk. The volunteer hours of these men that contribute to the tout are invaluable, and they certainly help enhance the park with ideas, research, and knowledge that they bring to the table. Let's congratulate the team, and I believe this is our winner. Where's they? Where's Lewis? Come on up, Lewis.
And Tom.
And Tom. Apologize for the stuff we've done. And Tom, stay up here just a second, because it's y'all tag team, but I guess it was a decisive vote. And Tom, you're our winner for Citizens of the Year. Congratulations. Thank you very much. That's it.
Can we get all of our Citizens of the Year, our nominees, and our recipients up to the front and get a quick photograph, please?
The whole team's up here.
Can you join us? Please. Come on up here.
Turn this way, look at the crowd.
You better not.
Y'all can just find a little more. There you go. Find a spot. All right.
All right, you ready, everybody?
All right, who's winning? All right, everybody good? All right. Big hand for all
Good job, Susan. Congratulations. Brandon. Thanks, Megan.
We need to do the discussion of the proposed agenda items, or discussion of today's agenda. I think it's proposed, yes. We need to close out that.
She made it. She's walking good.
I think Crowd will do first. Told you.
I don't know how to empty your room, don't you?
You've done?
It's always good.
Yeah.
It does. It helps. It does help. But that's
No worries, I'll get it. Oh, I'm
okay. Who? Good for him. What's going to happen?
I was like, sorry.
How about two? Might as well forget it first.
I should have said all y'all were very welcome to stay for the rest of our enjoyable council session. We will continue on with our agenda with item 3 of our workshop. Discussion of agenda items posted for consideration on the regular council session agenda for April 22nd, 2013. I'll open the floor. Any discussion?
What are we talking about? Everybody? No agenda items.
Hearing none from the council, we will move on. To item 4, discussion of proposed agenda items for the May 6th, 2013 agenda.
I have one.
Councilman Mayor?
I know Clint's been pushing to get June, so we need to handle that in May to get Speed Awareness Month set in June, so I think we need to get that on the agenda in May.
It's penciled in.
Okay.
Okay. We get that, that's good, so we can have.
Mike's work live? Test, test.
You're on.
You're on.
Okay.
Very good. Anything else, future agenda? Okay, well, hearing none, then we're right on schedule. We'll take a real short break, and we will start our official session at 7 o'clock. Order, we were in workshop. Now we'll start the formal part of the session. As announced earlier, Mayor White is out of town, so I get the opportunity to lead our council tonight. We will start off with our invocation and pledge. Councilwoman Tiffany will be leading the prayer, followed by Town Manager Sly with the pledges. Please rise.
Bow your heads, please. Father, we take this moment to be still and know that you are God. In the midst of the tragedies in the last 10 days in Boston and West Texas, you are present. It is in you we place our trust, knowing that you will see us through achieving your purpose through your people. Thank you for each person present in this room tonight. Thank you for their commitment to the town of Trophy Club and the issues at hand. Give each of us a will to listen and slow to speak with patience and kindness, giving thanks for individual differences. We are thankful for Mike Sly, his leadership, and his team in doing their job to make Trophy Club a great place to call home. Father, we stand here tonight because of the men and women who serve this country in faraway places of violence and uncertainty, and right here in Trophy Club 24/7, ready to give their life, the ultimate sacrifice to keep us free. It is in your name, Jesus Christ, that we pray.
Will you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Bobcats.
At least I have a stereo on that now.
Okay, we will go into citizen presentations now. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on any matter, whether or not it's posted on the agenda. The council is not permitted to take action on or discuss any of the presentations made to the council at this time concerning an item not listed on the agenda. Council will hear presentations on specific agenda items prior to the council addressing those items. So if you signed up to speak tonight on a specific item, say the golf carts or the town logo, we'll hear you at that time. You may speak up to 3 minutes or the time limit determined by the mayor or presiding officer. To speak during this item, you must complete the speaker's form that indicates the topics of your statement. Topics presentation should be limited to the matters over which the council has authority. And I believe everything we have right now is all specific. Is that right, Amy? Was there anybody out there that failed to fill the form out that needed to address the council? I'm taking that as a no, so we will move forward. Our next item is proclamations. We have 4 proclamations tonight. I'm going to go to start with item 6 because we were supposed to have some folks from our motorcycle safety here tonight. I don't know if they're here, so I'll give them a chance and we'll save them to last. So I'm going to go to item 6. consider and take appropriate action regarding a proclamation declaring May 2nd, 2013 as a National Day of Prayer, and I'll defer to Councilwoman Tiffany to read the proclamation.
May the 2nd, 2013, as the Day of Prayer in Trophy Club. Whereas public prayer and national days of prayer have a long and significant history in American tradition dating back to the first call to prayer in 1775, when the Continental Congress asked the colonies to pray for wisdom in forming a nation. And whereas in 1952, the Congress of the United States, by joint resolution, enacted legislation setting aside an annual day of prayer for the nation. And in 1988, this law was amended permanently, setting the day as the first Thursday of every May. And whereas the National Day of Prayer enables us to recall and teach the way in which our forefathers sought the wisdom of God when faced with critical decisions, thus reaffirming the spiritual principles upon which this nation was founded. And whereas in these trying times, when the world is so unsettled and when many of our brave citizens and members of the military are far from home, making great sacrifices and defending freedom for those abroad and those here at home, we humbly ask God for their protection and pray for peace throughout the world. And whereas on this day, Americans across our nation and state will join us in united prayer to acknowledge our dependence on God, to give Him thanks for blessings received, to request healing for wounds endured, and to seek His guidance for our leaders and His grace and protection upon us as a people and a nation. Whereas this year, the 62nd anniversary of the consecutive annual observance of the National Day of Prayer, and its theme being Pray for America, based on Matthew 12:21, which says, "In His name the nations will put their hope." And therefore, I, Glenn Strother, Mayor Pro Tem, on behalf of the Mayor and Town Council, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May the 2nd, 2013, as Day of Prayer in the town of Trophy Club.
Thank you. And I know the Thomases are here, and I'll present them a certificate.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Can I just say a quick sentence?
Sure.
It's just a deep
Go ahead and
honor.
sit in front of the mic.
Can we make a motion on this?
It is just a deep honor for us to be able to pray for our nation and our government from the federal level all the way to the state and local, especially for the state and local, all that has been going on in our nation. This is a wonderful time to gather and pray for our firemen and our police department that will be there on that day, May 2nd at 12 noon. And so I invite everyone is invited to come and be a part of this. And so we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. We certainly have a lot to be thankful for and pray about, especially in the last few weeks with the tragedies in Boston and West. Council, I'll entertain a motion to...
I move to approve the proclamation declaring May 2nd, 2013 as National Day of Prayer.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Rose, second by Councilman Schroeder, to approve May 2nd, 2013, National Day of Prayer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I see we have some motorcycle folks here now. We moved you down on the agenda, so Councilman Schroeder has volunteered to read this proclamation.
I volunteered him for it.
Oh, do you want it?
Okay.
Oh,
I moved it. I gave it to him.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
here.
I'll let you want to do the fair?
Hey,
Do Arbor Day.
All right, I'll do Arbor Day.
there. Paperwork shuffle, my pleasure. Proclamation motorcycle safety and awareness. Whereas today's society is finding more citizens involved in motorcycling on the roads of of our country, and whereas motorcycles are roughly unprotected and therefore more prone to injury or death in a crash than other vehicle drivers, and whereas campaigns have helped inform riders and motorists alike on motorcycle safety issues to reduce motorcycle-related risks, injuries, and most of all, fatalities through a comprehensive approach to motorcycle safety, and whereas it is the responsibility of all who put themselves behind the wheel to become aware of motorcyclists, regarding them with the same respect as any other vehicle traveling the highways of this country. And it is the responsibility of riders and motorists alike to obey all traffic laws and safety rules. And whereas urging all citizens of our community to become aware of the inherent danger involved in operating a motorcycle, and for riders and motorists alike to give each other the mutual respect they deserve. Now therefore, I, Glenn Strother, Mayor Pro Tem, on behalf of the Mayor and Town Council, do hereby declare the month of May 2013 as National Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month in all the town of Trophy Club, to coincide with National Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month, and urge all residents to do their part to increase safety and awareness in our community. I move to approve the proclamation proclaiming the month of May as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Rose, a second by Councilwoman Tiffany to approve the proclamation as written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I think we have a couple representatives here. Come forward.
A family.
Wonder if that boy rides a bike.
Probably so. Okay, it's getting cold in here.
Shotgun, shotgun.
Be safe out there.
Okay, moving forward to item 7, Arbor Day. Councilman Schroeder.
Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas 2013 is the 141st anniversary of the holiday, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Connie White, Mayor of the Town of Trophy Club, Texas, on behalf of the Town Council, do hereby urge all citizens to celebrate Saturday, April 27th, 2013, as Arbor Day, and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and the well-being of future generations.
Thank you, Councilman Schroeder. I'll entertain a motion to accept the proclamation.
I'll make a motion to accept the proclamation declaring April,
26th.
26.
well,
Uh-oh, we have a confusion.
we have a confusion. So
27th.
it is the 27th, okay.
Agenda up here is wrong. I apologize.
Well, actually, the agenda's wrong.
So do I need to say as amended? Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation declaring April 27th, 2013 as Arbor Day as amended at the dais.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Schroeder, a second by Councilman Mayer to approve as amended, April 27th, 2013 is Arbor Day. Any further discussion?
I do believe that's being celebrated in Trophy Club in conjunction with the Back to Nature event at Trophy Club Park. That's correct. This Saturday, and encourage you all to participate.
Thank you, Councilman Rose. Anything else? Hearing nothing, call for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 8, proclamation declaring May 6th through May 12th National Nurses Week. Councilman Mayor.
National Nurses Week. Whereas the nearly 3.1 million registered nurses in the United States comprise our nation's largest healthcare profession, and whereas the registered nursing profession meets the different and emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a wide range of settings, and whereas the American Nurses Association, as the voice for the registered nurses of this country, is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing delivery of primary and preventative health care, and whereas a renewed emphasis on primary and preventative health care will require the better utilization of all of our nation's registered nursing resources, and whereas professional nursing has demonstrated to be an indispensable component in the safety and quality of care of hospitalized patients, and whereas the demand for registered nursing services will be greater than ever because of the aging of the American population, the continuing expansion of life-sustaining technology, and the explosive growth of home health care services, and whereas that more qualified registered nurses will be needed in the future to meet the increasing complex needs of healthcare consumers in this community, and whereas the cost-effective, safe, and quality healthcare services provided by registered nurses will be an ever more important component of the U.S. healthcare delivery system in the future. Now, therefore, I, Glenn Strother, Mayor Pro Tem of the Town of Trophy Club, on behalf of the mayor and the entire town council, do hereby declare the week of May 6th through the 12th as National Nurses Week, with the theme Nurses, Advocating, Leading, Caring, in celebration of the ways in which registered nurses strive to provide safe and high-quality patient care and map out the way to improve our health care system. I move we adopt May 6th to the 12th as National Nurses Week.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Mayor. We have a motion by Councilman Mayor, second by Councilman Rose, to approve May 6th through the 12th, 2013 as National Nurses Week. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, before I move on to the consent agenda, we do have one more special announcement here that I meant to catch earlier when we had a larger crowd here, but if you notice, there's somebody missing tonight, our Assistant Town Manager, Seidel. Well, Stephen is a new daddy. William Harold Seidel was born last Thursday at 9:02 p.m., came into the world at 7 pounds 1 ounce. He and Nicole and William are doing good, except Stephen's a little tired. But he's breaking into learning how to change diapers, which is all good. So let's congratulate Stephen and Nicole and William over the birth of William. Okay. Now, moving on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is all matters listed in the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Rose, second by Councilman Mayor to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Okay, moving on to the regular session. Item 13, consider and take appropriate action regarding an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Public Safety of the Code of Ordinances by adding Article 14, Motorized Carts, to Chapter 10 in order to regulate the use of the operation of the golf carts upon public streets within the town, providing for an amendment to the town code of ordinances and providing a penalty and providing an effective date. Town Manager Sly, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Your email traffic has been quite vigorous over the last week or so, and rightfully so. This is a very important issue. Before you, you have an ordinance, a proposed ordinance, that basically captures 3 different alternatives that what we heard and what the council's direction was, that what we hope you'll do is deliberate and decide which direction you're interested in going. I want to say that those individuals who are using golf carts today to go to and from the golf course that are certainly well within the state statute to do that with, are going to continue to be able to do that. Okay, this is really for the purposes of using golf carts in and around our community to get to the grocery store or the local yogurt shop or whatever the case may be. But if you've been using your golf cart and you're within 2 miles of the golf course, you're going to be able to continue to do that same thing that you've been doing in the past. Obviously, the chief of police has a very strong opinion about safety, as do I. And we can't put enough safety equipment on the golf carts for either one of us, but that's for the council to decide, and that's really what you received in your staff report from us. Is, you know, I think we would be doing a disservice to you and to our community without recognizing the fact that what we're contemplating, what you're contemplating tonight, is could be a very serious safety issue if it's not monitored correctly and implemented properly. So with that, I don't know that we need to go through all of those, rehash all of the golf cart issues again, but we're prepared to do that. You know, once we decide on subparagraph G, on which direction you'd like to head, or an amendment to either one of, or any of those 3 options, it would be the staff's recommendation to approve the golf cart ordinance.
Thank you, Town Manager Sly. Council, on the floor for discussion.
Did you want to let the residents speak?
Oh, I guess we'll hear from the residents first, since I have a good list here, and then the council will debate. Let me get everybody in order here. Okay, Mr. Fred Allen. Come to the podium and state your name and address.
It's a certain disadvantage to be having your name start with A.
I know. I agree. Mine was B.
For the council. It's not very long.
Promise.
What I'd like to do is address the council members. And after reading the proposed ordinance number 2013-11, motorized vehicles, and understanding the various opportunities of the other interested parties and residents of the town to contribute in the formulation, it would appear as though a document is ready to be presented to the council. Given the ordinance in its present form, and the desires of the residents of the town to have an ordinance in place soon, I would strongly lobby the council to pick the 3rd choice of G offered by the staff in Section 2, Part G. requiring no restraints while allowing parental discretion. The proposed ordinance, although not being or reflecting all the concerns of the residents, or using common vernacular of neighboring communities with similar ordinances, or allow for state and federal definition and descriptions, or addressing the environmental implications of gas-driven vehicles, the ordinance 2013-11 does give us a starting block for future efforts to make our golf cart community more hospitable. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you, Fred.
Said thank you. Appreciate it.
Good job. Okay, next, Ms. Dina Boudreau.
Good evening, all. I have here a letter from Joyce Fry that she wanted me to read into record. And so I'll do that first, and then I'll continue on with my personal comments on this. I believe that's okay, correct? Okay. Mayor White, council members, city manager Sly, Chief Niffen. I have watched with interest the development of the golf cart community idea from inception and watched this meeting, I'm sorry, cannot read her, and watched the meeting with citizens on tape. My interest was moderate until I was walking the other evening and stood in amazement as a father picked up his toddler, got into his golf cart, tucked the baby into his right side, and drove off into traffic with one hand. I could hardly believe my eyes. As a country, we decided a long time ago that child safety devices were necessary for the protection of those who cannot protect themselves. There is no rationalization I can come up with to excuse a parent doing what I saw this guy do. If he hit a big bump, that child would become a flying missile. It makes me upset just to write this. As a result of witnessing this, I have looked more closely into the issues surrounding this pending decision. I apologize, the printing's very small. I am writing to urge you to follow your Chief of Police Niffen's recommendations and include the safety equipment, including safety belts, in the ordinance language. He is indeed your employee who is entrusted with the safety and security in our town. Also, consider the mess and traffic we will have with those carts going into the school. Have you been out there and seen the massive traffic tie-ups we have already? Add a lot of carts with kids driving and sit back and hear the resulting complaints. I live in the midst of this and do not go out during these hours, as one cannot make a left-hand turn anywhere in the area during the school hours. It is better to be too careful at first. There is always time later to relax an issue if need be. Thank you for your consideration. Joyce Fry, 214 Durango Drive. Thank you. Now, my personal thoughts on this. I believe that in the ordinance we had 3 choices, and I would urge you to trust Chief Niffen's judgment and experience and his expertise in safety matters. We've had seat belts that are mandatory in automobiles since 1968. Why would we want anything less for the safety of our children in golf carts? Now, at first I was completely against this idea, but in favor of unification of town, I've modified my beliefs if we trust in Chief Niffen's judgment. I really think that that's very mandatory. I don't believe that children should be allowed to sit in your lap. I don't believe that children should be allowed to sit without seat belts. I don't think they need to be tucked up against your side. That's not secure. On a left-hand turn, 11 miles per hour, any child, any person can be ejected. And I've already said this to you in emails, but I wanted to reiterate. I think that you guys hired this man and pay him to give you good judgment, and I would appreciate you listening to it. I appreciate your time tonight, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boudreau.
Yes, sir. No,
Thank you.
Oh.
Next is Randy Kahn.
Good evening, Council. I'm at 2452 Lilyfield Drive. I'm also a golf cart owner in the city. I'm not sure everybody, and I wasn't part of the original discussions, but there are current requirements to own a golf cart and use it on the golf course at Trophy Club. Those current requirements are you have to have a horn, a rear view mirror, parking brake, and reflectors. And that's what you see consistent in golf cart friendly communities in regards to requirements. I personally, and talking to a lot of members of the club who own carts, don't believe we need seat belts, turn signals, rack and pinion steering, airbags, or car seats for kids. I think there has to be good judgment, and I think our police force should monitor golf cart usage, and if they see individuals on the streets and they're operating the golf cart in an unsafe manner, or have children in a golf cart that shouldn't be in there hanging off the sides or whatnot, I think the police force should enforce that. But in regards to the citizens being able to use golf carts to go to Tom Thumb, or members of the club using golf carts to the golf course, I recommend we stay with what the current course requires. Again, that's a horn, rear view mirror, parking brake, and reflectors. I would like you to take a look at this if you could. Frisco actually wrestled with the same type of ordinance back in 2010. Their council also went to vote on it. They landed at exactly what I'm recommending: horn, rear view mirror, parking brake, and reflectors. And Frisco's a city of 117,000 people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Randy. Sean Weaver.
Hello, my name is Sean Weaver. I'm at 109 Inverness Drive here in Trophy Club. I sent everybody on council and Mike and forgot about Steven having the baby when realized that when the email bounced back to me. And mine is two things that are really simple. First off is safety. I'm sorry, with restraints, without restraints. I drive a half-ton pickup. It weighs 6,000 pounds. You get in an accident with a golf cart, it's not going to be golf cart friendly, period. And I watched it. I live on the course, and I watch people and the kids last night out there running around on the golf cart, and they've got little kids with them. This is going to, the unintended consequences that are going to come from this. The second is costs. We start down this path, no pun intended, and I've seen we're going to have calming lanes. Are we going to stripe those lanes? Are we going to add signage? On social media, there's been talk of paths connecting different parts of town for the golf carts. Who's going to pay for that? Where's the money going to come from? And when we're inspecting these carts to be approved by the town, we're going to use a police staff to do that. Who's paying for their time when they're inspecting golf carts as opposed to their traditional public safety duties? So those are my two concerns, safety being most paramount, and second of all, and I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man, but there will be costs involved with this. It's not going to be just, oh, this is great, and let's run up to Tom Thumb. This will lead to more things. That's it.
Thank you, Sean. And just to clarify, you had posted items 11 and 15. I think you meant this.
I miswrote it. It's 13.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Amy, did I miss anybody? Anybody else wish to speak on the issue? Okay. Now that we've heard from our residents, council, open it up for discussion.
Well, I'll start out by saying we did receive a number of emails via our via our email site, and frankly, more in favor than not. And it has generated a lot of interest, and certainly I think we have the responsibility of making decisions that are good for all of the town. And the fact is, we really have 2 golf cart requirements out here. Just so happens, we live in the midst of golf course. In fact, you can get probably at the door of Trophy Club Country Club and drive to the back of Trophy Club Park and still be within 2 miles. And you can probably drive, and I know you can drive to Tom Thumb and still be within 2 miles. And you can drive all the way over to Indian Creek, now where they're building, and you're still within 2 miles. So there are people who need a golf cart to go strictly to the golf course, do their business, and go home. Then there are people who would like to have a golf cart to get on the street. So to me, we've got 2 issues. We have a daytime use of golf carts, and we then have people who want to use it daytime and nighttime. So we could consider that as a way to look at the coming together. And then in addition to that, I heard parents loud and clear the last Monday night say a parent discretion. We cannot legislate people not getting hurt. In fact, people do really stupid things. And as a matter of fact, I was playing golf 2 nights, Friday night. Behind us were 2 golf carts, kids in them. And they were probably not really playing as much golf as they were playing. But you know what? That's the country club's responsibility. And it's your responsibility as a parent not to have your kids driving golf carts without license. And that's what we've agreed to also. I think this is a parent discretion decision. Plus, it gives adults the opportunity to have a golf cart, drive in the street, go to the golf course, and manage themselves responsibly. And in addition to that, it allows for Trophy Club, I think, to have more interesting family environments and family relationships and family fun. But you also know that I want golf carts in the Trophy Club. So there you go.
Councilman Mayor.
I would like to address some of the concerns of what could be. I've spent a lot of time talking to Fort Lauderdale, the city officials in Fort Lauderdale, Spokane, Washington, Galveston, and the things that I think everyone is fearful of are not supported by what these cities that have been doing this for a long time. There's a large suburban area in Spokane, larger than Trophy Club is, that went to golf carts quite some time ago. They've had no major incidents, and Galveston is by far larger than we are. And they have 2 separate, and if you go to Galveston, if you've been down there, there's 2 separate parts of that city, and they have 2 separate sets of rules depending on where you're driving in the town. But all of the officials there, they haven't had to add any more signs or add any more lanes. And the difference, the oddity about Trophy Club is we already have golf carts on the road. They're already there. Yeah. All we're going to do is make it legal. When you talk about kids driving around, that's illegal. I mean, that needs to be, that the police department will address the illegal operation. We're talking about having licensed drivers. If you're old enough to have a license, you're old enough to operate a golf cart. We're not talking about letting 14-year-olds get on there with their 3-year-old brother or sister and speed around the neighborhood. That is illegal today. We have never, in social media, let's talk about social media. This council has never once, not one time, ever discussed pathways connecting other parts of the town, ever. So social media is a great media, but it's also greatly abused. And when you start putting information out there that it's never even been in an ordinance, never even mentioned, it's very frustrating. I have supported from day one a nighttime permit and a daytime permit. And for me, the only difference in a daytime permit and a nighttime permit is that if you're going to drive at night, you got to have turn signals. And the state defines day and night as 30 minutes before sunset and 30 minutes after sunrise. So for me, I support this. And when we talk about seat belts, Mr. Allen made some back when I had more time on my hands, I used to play a lot of golf, and I've turned the golf cart over. And if I'd been on the street, they would have arrested me for the way I was driving it. But and I knew I would not have wanted to be tied into that golf cart. We have seat belts in cars. I think we have them for safety, but that's not the reason we have them in cars. We have them in cars because the federal government said they were going to take our highway funds away if we didn't put them in cars. That's the way they handle getting seat belts in cars throughout the country in every state. But I think I'm with Jeanette. I heard the parents who were lined up. There were many, many parents here, young mothers with children and fathers, who said, "You let me decide what's safe for my children and for the operation of my cart." So I say we don't need seat belts, and we need turn signals if we want to do it at night, and I'm all for a parent's discretion.
Councilman Rose?
Well, I think it's time to get down to work. I'm going to, so we can do some amendments and get this done. I move to approve Town Trophy Club Texas Ordinance Number 2013-11.
I'll second. We got to go one, yes, discussion.
Don't we need to have
Don't we have to
option
amend it first?
A, B, or C before we
Well,
make a motion?
as soon as you say discussion, we can start talking amendments.
Yes. Say, do we have?
Okay.
I second.
We can go that way.
Now we can discuss.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Rose, a second by Councilwoman Tiffany to approve ordinance, I have my number up here. Okay, bear with me. 2013-11. Okay.
Discussion?
We're open for discussion.
Good.
Are you ready, Councilman Rose?
Yeah, on page 51 of the council packet, talking about parade, festival, or special event.
Could you speak up, please?
Yep, step up to the mic.
Thank you.
Want to turn me up in the back there? Thank you. On page 51 of the council packet, I'm looking at, that is in the exemption area. Number 5, parade, festival, or special event. And I'll do this as a motion and we'll have discussion. I move to amend primary motion to remove the phrase, provided, however, that the cart shall be transported to the starting point of the parade, festival, or event and shall not be driven to the starting point.
Yes. I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on an amendment to the current ordinance on item B, exemptions, item 5 on the parade, festival, and special events. Motion made by Councilman Rose, second by Councilman Tiffany. Any discussion on the amendment?
I'd briefly discuss, I'd like to take this out because I think that if we have a cart, for example, pulling a small wagon to the parade, whether the wagon's decorated or however, I don't see that that is a problem that we need to prohibit.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
No.
Opposed?
Okay.
You want a detail of the
Yep.
yays and noes?
I have it.
Oh,
She's
okay.
got-
Okay, further discussion. Motion, the amendment carried.
I'll make a motion.
Is there any further discussion?
Uh,
We already have a motion on the floor.
But,
Yes, Councilman Sly.
But-
Councilman Sly. Town Manager Sly.
but we need to make one of these.
Yes.
I would like the council to consider what Mr. Khan was talking about. Today, as the ordinance is written, golf carts are exempted going to and from the golf course, as they are.
Right.
I think that Mr. Khan makes a very strong argument that as a minimum, during the day, you ought to have side mirrors, reflectors, and a horn.
Riverview.
I'm more in favor of the side mirrors only because generally they got golf clubs in the back, and it's really obstructive. I think Councilman Tiffany could.
Both of those define as a rear view mirror.
Whether it's side mirror or.
Okay. Well, however you want to define it, but I do think that we should have them permitted and have this minimal equipment, whether it's daytime or nighttime. I think Mr. Khan has made a very strong argument for us to consider that, because right now, as it's written, and that's why you were in that exemption area, number 4 right there just exempts golf carts during the daytime. And I would like for you to consider that minimal equipment.
Well, does that take us to the required equipment under 14.04B? That, should we go through that required equipment?
You could add that required equipment right there in number 4, I think. I'm looking at the attorney. Equipped with these minimal requirements.
Okay,
Rear view mirror, reflectors, and a horn.
okay.
That's different from the required equipment.
Yeah, the required equipment's much
Isn't
longer.
that what you were talking about?
It's 11. I mean, look.
I'm talking about just those golf carts used during the day to and from the golf course. And today, as this ordinance is written, a golf cart purchased out of the store with 0 equipment on it would be allowed, as long as you're within 2 miles going to and from. And I'm suggesting that we need to make a change to require that minimal equipment, the rear view mirrors, the reflectors, and the horn.
If you don't mind, headlamps. So what's required by the club are
Yeah,
headlamps.
right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about what the club requires. Club requires.
Randy, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium so we can hear you, please.
So what the
Or-
club currently requires is headlights, and I'll try to go through this by memory. Okay, headlights, taillights,
Right.
rear view mirror, a parking brake, and a horn.
Correct.
I think I've got them all. That's what the club, to have a cart and have it registered, so the club itself registers carts, and to have a private cart, you have to have all those requirements, or you're not allowed to use the cart on the golf course. Thank you.
So it would seem, based on that with that requirement, that would be a daytime cart. And if it doesn't have that, it's not allowed on the golf course, so they couldn't be going to and from the golf course to play golf.
True.
And the other alternative then would be 24/7 operation, and it would require all of that plus.
Plus turn signals.
Yes.
So do we need to establish whether we want to have 2 permits or not before we go into the equipment section?
I'm sorry to throw you that curveball, but that just makes sense.
Well, we had actually talked about having 2 permits. I think we decided we did not want to do that. So,
But we decided we did.
so if you want to decide you do want to do that, then we can put it back in. But we did go through that exercise, thinking that through, and
She's
Well-
exactly correct.
Well, I think 2 permits gives the option. And we had several emails from people who said, all I want to do is go to the golf course. Don't make all these additional requirements. So this allows for someone to go to the golf course, go home. And then if we had another one, get on the street.
Okay, so can we make a motion for an amendment?
state law provides that you can do that anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, we can add, I guess I'm trying to get to the difference between just making it at a requirement and adding in a permit process. So is the interest in adding in a permit and inspection process, because the club already has that process, right?
Okay, but if I buy a golf cart and I just want to go to Tom Thumb in the daytime,
Right.
that's illegal.
And he's not registered at the golf
I'm not
course.
going to and from the golf course.
We just have to have daytime and nighttime permit.
Right.
I'm trying to see what all. State law provides that a city can't allow you to drive on a street or highway that's under 35 miles per hour, but the vehicle has to be equipped with headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, parking brakes, and mirrors. So
There he
talking about just using them for daytime purposes other than strictly to and for.
Yes,
to-
that would be a
to and
daytime
from.
That's a
permit.
daytime.
Then you're gonna have to have the minimum of those
Yes.
headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, brake.
And that's the and that's,
Councilman Rose.
I just pulled up state law here. I don't know exactly where I am within the code to get the
Just read
code
it.
number. I don't know exactly where it's at in the
I
code
think
number, but
that's where she's at.
golf cart or utility vehicle operated under this section must have the following equipment: headlights, taillights, reflectors, parking brake, and mirrors. Doesn't define what kind of mirrors, but if you're going to operate it on the street currently, you have to have those items.
Right.
So, as I read it, we don't have to do anything within our ordinance to bring that out, other than the fact that we've said that they are exempted when operating under this, because when they're operating under that, they have to comply with this. So we don't need it in our ordinance.
Yes, you do, because if they're not if they aren't going to and from the golf course, they just want to go drive around the
they do.
neighborhoods.
They do.
Your point's valid.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So I want to offer an amendment.
If you've got it worded.
Okay.
You got a spot?
I move that we amend the required equipment. Wait a minute. I want to add a section, an addition to the ordinance that would require under permitting that we offer a daytime permit and a 24-hour permit. The daytime permit would allow you to operate the golf cart anytime in daylight hours between 30 minutes after sunrise to 30 minutes before sunset, which is in line with the state law. And 24/7 is 24/7. First, we got to get the permitting, then we'll go to the equipment for the permit.
I'll second that.
So we have, if I understand
Wait.
that, right, we
a
have,
little bit too much of
we
an
were gonna add a
amendment for me.
section, and you're adding the section under permitting,
To section, yeah.
which would be 1405. So you wanna add item I. And I believe, and I'm gonna paraphrase here, is that you'll add daytime operation, basically a permit for daylight
Yes.
operation, and then B, a second permit that would allow 24-hour operation.
Yes.
Patricia, is that clear enough?
Well, the concept is clear enough, but I don't have language written in the ordinance, so I'm looking for what we had at one point. See if it's been deleted or if I still have it.
So do we have to have equipment for that 24 hours?
Then we'll go, we'll amend the equipment.
He's going to do another amendment.
I'll see if I can find an appropriate spot for this. Councilman Mayor, with your permission, and Patricia's, I would maybe suggest that we put a subsection under A, permit required, and then put that item 1 would be daytime operation. You'd have required 1 or 2 permits.
Well, you certainly have
One
my
would be
permission.
a
I
daytime
don't have to write it, she does.
permit, and then item 2 would be a 24-hour permit. And then you tell me whether we need to note in there, C, required equipment in section. Do we need to add something
No,
like
we would
that?
just reference down to I mean, we're gonna have to put some language in there that you're required to have it, and we can just put what you're required to comply with, and if that's referencing down to the, if that's referencing over to the equipment, and it says you're to comply with B 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7,
Good.
which I think are the ones, then we can do it that way.
So for daytime operation, I believe all that I was heard was, and to stay in state code would be, item 3, item 6, item 7, item 9.
And 1, headlamps.
You need one, you need headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, parking brake, and a mirror.
For daytime operation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And horn.
And the horn. That
Not
was,
required by state law, but that's what.
And then
Illinois-
That was item 9.
we're only adding turn signals for 24.
Correct.
so you want to have that in that first section there? As the reference? What's your preference? Or just C
My preference is
required?
probably to make B required equipment and have 2 sections, one for daytime and one for 24-hour, and just do it down there and just refer everybody down to the required equipment, I think is easier.
Have 2 lists of equipment.
Yes, have 2 lists, I agree. And also.
Okay.
Also yes.
Okay, council, does everybody understand the proposed amendment?
What about item 8, the slow-moving vehicle emblem? Do we need,
That has to be on there,
okay, so just.
but that's a part of it, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm just
it's
calling
just-
that out.
All carts are gonna be required.
Yeah, all carts have that.
Well, the golf current, if you're
We vote
driving,
on the
your
amendment?
golf cart, if you're driving to and from the cart,
Hold
that's
on,
not a
Patricia's
required
stressing.
item.
Right.
We need to vote, I think, before we go into the discussion on the equipment list, we need to vote
On the ordinance.
on
On the
the amendment,
Yeah.
daytime and nighttime operations.
Sorry, you're right, yep.
Okay, council, is there any other discussion about daytime and nighttime operation? Council understand the proposed amendment by Councilman Mayer.
Point of information, could you read what is the difference between daytime and nighttime?
We're not there yet.
Oh,
As far as time or as far as equipment, sorry.
pardon me?
As far as time or as far as equipment?
The equipment.
We're not
We
there yet.
have to do this in two parts, Fred. The first part is establishing the permitting requirement for daytime and nighttime operation, and then we will add another section
back to the equipment.
defining the equipment required for daytime and nighttime. So the proposed amendment by Councilman Mayer basically defines that there will be 2 permits, one for daytime operation and one for 24-hour operation, with the equipment defined further in
1404B.
1404B.
That's good. That
I think
sounds
that's
really
good.
good.
Is everybody clear?
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on this? Okay, council, by show of hands, all in favor of adding that amendment? Any opposed? Okay, Patricia, do we have that? Kinda? Okay.
Yes.
Now I believe we're gonna go down to section 1404B, required equipment. And we were gonna add a, I don't know how we're gonna do this run. I guess we would add a 1 and a 2 and then change the numbers 1 through 10 to A's and B's. So we will have item 1, if I understand this correct, on required equipment. You would have for daytime operation, we'd have a subset 1, daytime operation, required equipment. Headlights, tail lamps, side reflectors, stop lamps, parking brake, exterior mirror, an audible horn, and a windshield. Now, my question is do we need the slow-moving emblem
That's required.
It
by
is
the
required.
state.
Yes.
if
It
it's
is
gonna be
required.
used on the
Yes.
streets other than?
It is required. Slow-moving vehicle emblem is required.
What happens if you have a golf cart?
It is required on golf carts.
It's on the golf course, it's not required by the course, I don't believe.
No, sir, it's required by the statute.
If you're gonna operate your cart on the street, I guess is what Chief Niffen is telling me, is that you should have a slow-moving emblem somewhere attached to the rear of the vehicle to be perfectly street legal.
Correct.
I think it should, I think you must.
Pardon?
Well, this is what the ordinance says per state
I
law.
didn't understand you, I'm sorry.
It's not should, it's must.
It's required by state law, yes, sir.
Must.
We have that.
City street.
So, basically, council, since I managed to confuse that up entirely, how it's written in your packet of page 55 of 124, the
Is
items 1 through 10 are correct for 24-hour operation.
Correct.
Less item 5,
That's correct.
and which is front and turn signals, and then we'll add a section 2, 24-hour operation equipment. And so if you're going to operate at night, the only addition would be that you would be required to have operating turn signals.
And you notice on the next page is number 11, which is, which we're not doing. Huh? Okay, okay,
That'll be predicated on
So,
what you do with that.
okay.
if I communicated that properly, I will entertain a motion to amend section 1404B, adding section 1, daytime operation, and item 2, nighttime 24-hour operation.
Do it.
So moved as mentioned.
Thank you,
All right,
Councilman
all right.
Rose. Can I have it?
You certainly can, okay.
May I have a second?
You want a motion?
I'll second.
I can do it.
He did it. Oh, okay.
As long as
He seconded.
Patricia's comfortable with that, then we have a motion as stated by Councilman Rose, amending section 1404B, required equipment, to subset 1, including items 1 through 10, less item 5, front and rear turn signals. Then we have a section 2, which will have a 24-hour operation, which will say all equipment stated above in 4B1, and item adding, which is stated in our packet number 5, which will be B, front and rear turn signal lamps.
I think there's a problem. And the problem is, when you say 24-hour operation, 24 hours includes daytime. So I think you have to have daytime operation, nighttime operation. No?
24 hours means you can operate anytime.
Okay.
Daytime is
Just long as
sunrise
it's
to sunset.
Subset.
just long as it's understood that you don't have to have those items to operate in the
You can
daytime.
buy a nighttime permit or a 24-hour permit.
Okay.
And of course, the 24-hour permit's $100, right?
We're going to have definitions of both of those terms. I'm going to have a definition added to both of those, for one for daytime and one for 24-hour operation, so that we explain what that means.
Is
I
there
have
a,
that in my motion.
is there a
Daytime, by state
you have
law, is
daytime, yes.
30 days, or 30 minutes after sunrise, 30 minutes before sunset.
That's
24 hours, I don't know how you define that. I'd say any time of the day or night.
Anytime excluding daytime hours.
is there a standard in state law for
I don't know.
defining daylight?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we
There
can-
is for daytime, yeah, the hours, because what Councilman Mayer is referring to is what we use for turning your headlights on at night when you're driving a car. So I think there was some early discussion of that, and a question of, did we want to make it a specific time, or do we want to rely on you looking at it and determining you turn lights on? So that's an easy one. 24-hour operation, I guess I will just define that as 24/7, rain or
24
shine.
hours a day, 7 days a week. Use your discretion.
Do you need to say the words excluding daytime hours? I don't know. I'm just asking you.
No, because then you couldn't
It's
drive
all-
in the daytime
yeah.
if you exclude them.
You've got a little conflict there. I think where Councilman Rose was coming from is that, you've got a little conflict there, because you've got one set for daytime, and then you have 24-hour, which also includes daytime. But if you're doing 24-hour, then you have to have everything on it. I just need to make sure I'm clear as to what we're putting in, because in writing the notes, what I thought you were doing daytime operation was looking at the list, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 9, and which is the horn, right? So is that all you're doing for daytime operation? Because then I heard a minute
No,
ago.
daytime operations, 1 through 10 less 5.
That's
Okay,
less-
everything
yeah,
except for 5.
except
All
fire.
right.
And then 24 hours, everything else, 1 through 10.
It's easy.
24 hours, all above with the addition of,
Randy, while I have got you, I think,
When turn
when you
signals.
get your carts equipped per the country club standards, when you do have your lights, then basically you have parking brakes at the same time, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking they had. Okay, so Patricia, so we need to add definitions also?
Yes.
let's finish this, and we'll go back to definitions if we need to, unless you want to do it in the same motion and amend the
One
motion.
at a time.
One time, yeah.
Okay, council, are you clear with the proposed amendment?
Yes, clear.
Further
Take off.
discussion?
Crystal.
Thank
Take
you.
off time.
Okay, all in favor of the second proposed amendment, signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Opposed by Councilman Schroeder. Okay, now, council, I'll direct you up to section 1402, definitions. Patricia, does it matter where we add this? Should we just add it to the end?
Oh, it's in alphabetical order, so don't worry about the lettering. We'll just add it in alphabetical order.
Just a point for clarification, for sunrise sunset, that you stated, according to the definition in Texas here, it says 1/2 hour before sunrise, 1/2 hour after sunset.
That's a.
It's the reverse of what you stated.
Well, there you are.
Just for clarification.
Thanks. That's, well, that adds.
Thank
that
you.
gives
I
more-
was actually thinking it was before and after, but,
gives him-
so.
Well, I hadn't been a cop in a long time.
Thank goodness for smartphones. We can get everything clarified. So we will add an item. Can we just do it in one, which will be reordered, but item N, hours of operation, daytime hours as defined by the state, 1/2 hour before sunrise and 1/2 hour after sunset.
Well, they should be alphabetized.
I know, but there is an end, so.
Yeah, there,
And
there
then-
is an N. In my copy, I have an
I'm
N and an
I'm
O, so you'd be,
excused.
so you'd be looking at P, but they really need to.
Item R, I apologize, council, I was.
P, Q, M, N, O, P.
I think Patricia
Papa.
said we didn't need to worry about the letter.
They're gonna get re-alphabetized.
They're gonna,
We'll get
she's
rearranged.
gonna rework it.
Yep, just add a definition for daytime. Okay, I move to add the definition of daytime to comply with state law.
Easy. The Texas state law.
Do I need to say transportation code in that?
No.
Okay,
Comply with
Texas
state
state law.
Here a motion, now do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to add to the definitions under, I believe, item P, or where it does fall in the reordering, is define daytime operation as defined by state law. And then I guess we need an item Q.
Oh, let's vote on that one first. That's first.
Oh, we didn't vote yet? I'm sorry. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor defining daytime operation as per state law. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, show of hands. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. You want,
Next.
does somebody want to do?
You get to do 24/7.
Councilman Mayor.
I would move that we define a 24-hour operation as a permit that allows operation on any hour of a normal clock day.
Normal clock. What's not a normal clock?
Well, I don't know, but I'm perplexed as to why we're even doing this.
I am too.
I mean, I think 24-hour permit is pretty self-explanatory.
I agree. So,
It should be, but we have.
We got a lawyer. I forgot, we got lawyers. Okay, then I move that we define a 24-hour permit as you're able, as any 24-hour period of the day. I don't know what else to
How
say.
about operation
Anytime.
during day or night?
Anytime.
I mean, that's what
Day
I'm
and
trying
Okay.
to distinguish. Operation during daytime or night.
All right, I'll
Will
go with
work?
that, Tricia. Good Lord.
Okay, do I have a second on
If
that?
Walmart's open, we
Second.
can drive golf carts.
Let's go for it.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Mayor, second by Councilwoman Tiffany, to define 24 hours as being able to operate any time during the day or night. Any further discussion?
Don't you dare.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the Fifth Amendment, say aye. Opposed?
I liked Clint's.
I just want to point out that Councilman Schrader was right. His definition is the best.
Yep.
If Walmart's open, we
You
can
can
drive.
drive your car. Yep.
But you can't go to Roanoke,
Yeah.
You can't go to Roanoke, that's true.
Okay, next.
however you can.
Okay, council, I think, unless there's any other amendments, we
Well, there
have
is.
to choose on item
G.
G, which is on page 50.
No, we got to choose effective date.
Oh, we already, that's June the 2nd. I mean, June.
Is that above there?
It's in there, I read that. It said June.
Okay, well,
Effective
council,
date,
can
right?
we do G, A, B, C option, and then we can choose, because I believe we should be able to do a motion to pass the new ordinance as amended with an effective date?
See, June
All in one
1st.
motion?
Okay.
June,
Not getting a nod yet, but,
Well, that's fine.
okay, just checking.
This is the simplest amendment yet, so by all means, go ahead. That's fine.
So this is approving the G, not the full ordinance, is that correct?
Now, this will be, council, we have three options in the proposed ordinance, so we need to define,
Define G.
define G as
Right.
option A, B, or C.
okay, that's easy, okay,
I have a motion.
good. Do it.
Councilman Mayor.
I move that we adopt option 3, less the seat belts.
Okay, Councilman, you want to?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Mayor to basically, as I understand, select option 3 as presented as in our packet. Motion second by Councilwoman Tiffany.
Minus
Discussion.
seatbelts. Minus seatbelts.
Less seatbelts, but
They're not required.
they're not required.
Oh, they're not required anyway, okay.
Third.
Right. The third option, yes.
Right.
Okay, for the record, the option C states maximum number of occupants / seatbelts. Number of occupants in a motorized cart shall be limited to the number of persons of whom seating capacity is provided in the vehicle. The operator and all occupants shall be seated upon a seat of the vehicle, and no part of the body or of the operator or occupant shall extend outside the perimeter of the vehicle while the vehicle is being operated, except while signaling turns or stops. A driver shall not permit any occupant of the cart to ride in the lap or any occupant to stand on the rear of the vehicle while the vehicle is in motion. So, that being stated, is there any further discussion on that item?
What this really, I guess, would suggest also is when someone gets their permit, they have given their permit to agree that they will not permit any occupant to ride in the lap of, or stand on the rear of the vehicle. So therefore, if the policeman saw them, they could ticket them on that. And that is the responsibility of the parents and the person driving that golf cart. So you need to know, and that what's going to happen, what is happening currently, there are people not permitted to drive their carts, out there driving carts. We know that, which is one reason I think this whole thing is going to help our situation. So, come June the 1st, you better let your neighbors know, you better start communicating to these kids that they cannot drive their golf cart out there, and I would suspect that the policemen will be out there a little more often as this time is taking place, because they will be ticketed. What is the cost of a ticket for something like that?
The fine amount would be set by the judge. We do
What
not.
would that maybe be?
Well,
Up to,
what we have in the ordinance now is a penalty provision of up to $500. That's because it's partially an ordinance violation.
Good.
State law for rules of the road is $200 limit.
All right.
So it would vary depending on what the violation was within the ordinance.
And that's a pretty serious fine, so hopefully we'll get the information out in our new website that's coming out, and people will be able to see that it's a penalty for not adhering to the cart road. I'm sorry, but when you read that, that's what it says.
You're fine.
All right.
I'm just.
You have
I'm
been
just
notified.
I am allowing you to
You
finish.
have been notified.
Any other discussion by council? Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept option 3 to the proposed amendment. Seeing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, show of hands. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there any other further amendments?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. If I could ask, under section 1405G, fees, the permits are valid for 2 years from the date of issuance. If we could make the expiration date on those permits the December 31st of even numbered years, it would make the permitting process a whole lot easier for us.
Council, any issue with that?
I have a question on it. If it's a annual renewal of that type, that focuses the workload. Would that be correct? Whereas if you don't have that situation, the workload is not focused but distributed throughout the year, if I understood correctly.
If it's annual, I don't, it's under the impression here it's valid for 2 years from the date of issuance. Does it say annual somewhere else?
No, but I mean, if the renewal date, this says valid for a period from 2 years from the date of issuance.
Yes, sir.
And what you want to do is change it to
So that's
renewal only?
valid for 2 years, but it expires December 31st of even numbered years. That way I can issue a permit that says 1314 on it. And then I can issue a permit that says 1516 on it.
your first registration, you get a year in something, but after that, it would be it would be 2 years.
So it costs you $25 for, if you walk in the first 2
For a
months
year and a
before the
half.
end. Yeah, it could cost you $25 for the first 2 months, and then you get to renew it.
Well, there you go.
Then the renewal would be
Sounds
10
like a
for 2
government
years. It just make permitting a whole lot simpler for us.
Okay, I don't know if this is part to discuss, but I have a question. May I ask? It talks
part
about
the
permit.
fees?
It's kind of about permits.
Do we want to resolve the fee
Oh,
time
yes.
first?
Oh, yes, okay.
Anybody want to?
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, we need a
We
motion.
would need a motion to amend item F.
What's the verbiage?
Go for it.
Go ahead,
I'll, because if I'm wrong, Patricia will straighten me out. I move that registrations expire on the 31st of the year of expiration, December the 31st of the year of expiration, and that the first registration will be for no less than 1 year.
Not quite sure if that's what the chief.
What do you want, Chief? Tell me what you want.
Chief wants to have, if I understood the chief correctly, is that the inspection
Just a
tickets
minute and
will
I'll
be-
amend my motion.
Will be valid for approximately 2 years or when you renew, so they would anytime a permit would be issued effective June 1, it would expire 12/31/2014. And then
Let me
when they-
ask you
and then
this,
when they
Chief.
renewed, it'd be 12/31 of 2016.
Let me ask you this, Chief. We learned at the last council meeting that there's a lot of people in Trophy Club that own golf carts that don't play golf. There were a lot of them here. Then we have how many golf carts at the club? Probably 50 or 60 or You want all of those showing up in December and do all of those at one time?
If there hadn't been any violations of the permit, it should be something they can do by mail. Between now and then, we can probably set something up for them to do it online,
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
That'd be great.
right?
That'd be good.
We don't need to re-inspect the golf carts at all?
I don't think we have to re-inspect them. I don't think that's required by the ordinance, is it?
We have a
Tricia, can I-
re-inspection, we have a re-inspection fee in here. If
I
it says
know
if the motorized cart fails the initial inspection, biannual renewal of the permit is just a $25 fee, but I don't know that you'd wanna just let somebody keep re-upping without inspecting.
We need an inspection in there, that's, I mean, that's,
I mean, what's the renewal fee for if you're not doing the re-inspection?
Does it have to have a re-inspection to be renewed?
If you're gonna continue to charge each year for that inspection, then
I would think you'd want to inspect it.
you'd wanna inspect it.
Make sure they have all the requisite,
It was all working.
yeah, I mean, that's,
you know,
if
headlights
somebody's
working.
taillights aren't working or whatever, we need to know about when we inspect
I
it,
think you need to inspect.
just like a regular car.
I do.
Need to
You
inspect.
need to re-inspect? Okay. And no, I don't want them all showing up December
Okay, so we're gonna
31st.
Okay, I withdraw my motion, whatever it was I said.
I have,
We'll
what
work
I've
something out
written,
on the permitting then.
what I've written is sort of, let me just read this. Currently, it says permits and stickers shall be valid for a period of 2 years from the date of issuance, and then I inserted there, permit shall expire on December 31st of each even-numbered year. So you would only get a year and a half for this
Yeah.
first, and then going forward, it's 2 years.
It's not,
It's not.
But I think
it's
the
not
chief
that
is-
much money.
Has
It's
now changed his
$6
mind,
and
is that
50
correct?
cents. I mean, come on.
Yeah, just-
You're right.
He changed his mind.
Chief?
Re-inspect them. That's a whole lot of carts coming in at the same time.
So, yeah, so we're tracked.
So you think you can create your sticker that basically will be valid for 2 years from
From
the
date of
point of
issuance.
From
issuance?
date of issuance. like
Okay,
it's
then we don't have to do anything, right?
So,
Correct.
so council item F stays as written.
We could open up a bay in the fire station.
Councilman Rose.
Okay, on page,
Bay in the fire station, you just drive through, you know?
Month.
what's that?
My guess will be similar to your state inspection, it'll expire at the end of the month.
What are you on?
I'm on page 55. I, towing prohibited. Would like to go down, let's see. Like to insert a sentence in I. The sentence insertion goes right before the one that sentence that starts off, a person employed by a golf course may tow a cart for the purpose of relocating. Sentence I move to insert is carts may be used for towing to, from, and within parades. It's not quite worded right. Carts may be used for towing, comma, to, from, and within parades.
Did you hear that?
No, ma'am, I
Okay,
didn't.
right before item I, 413I, a new sentence before the sentence that starts off, a person employed by a golf course. The new sentence would read, carts may be used for towing to, from, and within parades. In other words, you can take your little red wagon and tie it on the back of your cart and tow it to the parade, through the parade, and tow it home.
With kids in it?
I didn't say anything about kids, with or without seatbelts.
Do we need a,
I
is
need a
that a
second.
motion? I'll second, so we can just move on.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, Councilman Rose, second by Councilwoman Tiffany, to add a sentence in modifying I, towing prohibited, to insert a line item basically allowing that for parades.
Point.
So I'll go and,
There's a safety issue there.
if you'd like to address the council, if you can please come forward so we can record your name and we can, the recordings can hear you.
Jim Perro, 8 Brookfield Court here in Trophy Club. I just wanted to make sure, I mean, I've dealt with engineering for a number of years, and I'm surprised that we're towing some undisclosed weight behind a golf cart that was built for a specific capacity of passengers and golf clubs. Now you're towing in a parade some float that we don't know how much it's gonna weigh by itself or with whatever's on it. And if you step on the brakes, it may be the golf cart brake system is not designed to stop all that additional weight. And I think before you take that out and let the golf cart be a towing device, someone look into the safety aspect.
I don't think it needs to be.
My,
Okay, discussion?
it seems to me that, knowing golf carts and horsepower, they're probably not gonna be able to tow too much. I think you're probably gonna be, I think concerning golf carts and their power capability, you're probably not gonna be towing too much. You're probably gonna be more concerned with breaking down halfway through the parade. No, I don't see a particular problem with allowing, I mean, if you can, we can tow something within the parade with a cart. And so my point was, we talked about allowing carts to go to and from parades rather than have to be on another vehicle to get to a parade. And so in this case, I think that you should be able to tow things behind tow things behind a vehicle. I understand the braking issue, but I mean, there's a corollary issue, and that's when you put one in a parade, how much can you put on it? How much can you weigh it down?
That's a good question.
And so,
Well,
I don't think
they're pretty heavy golfers, so I guess it depends on who's driving.
Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, they tow golf carts in a golf course.
Yes, I mean, so, yeah. Vote it up, vote it down.
Yeah, let's take a vote on it.
Any further discussion on amending the towing process? I'm seeing I got a note here for additional speakers. I'm not quite sure what our order is, but
You can speak on logo, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to amend and allow towing of, in other words, allow the golf cart to tow something during the parade and parade only.
No, from point A to point to the parade.
To and from the parade and within the parade.
So, from your home
Okay.
to the parade.
And back.
Tow.
Council clear with that? Okay. All in favor of the proposed amendment, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion fails.
I didn't care.
Are we ready for the ordinance?
I did. I have,
There's no further amendment or options. Councilman Rose.
I need a discussion on item H, revocation. Revocation.
Page.
I'm on
Oh,
page
I-
58.
Page what?
What item?
58 H. Revocation. The way this is written, it ties the vehicle to the driver. And if you have more than one driver of the golf cart in a household, I'm not sure that it should be tied that way.
How do you think it should be tied? To the vehicle?
To the driver. The driver picks up the driver picks up the violations. Well, maybe not, but I mean, then what do you do with your violations? I see the problem.
How about if we just add or driver? Because depending on whether it's a strict compliance or a rule of the road, it could be the permit holder or the driver. Because permit holder could be somebody who's leasing a cart for use on our streets. Driver's the person who's behind the wheel. So because we have sort of two different aspects, we have an ordinance aspect and a rules of the road aspect of this ordinance, then why don't we just add in a permit may be revoked if a permit holder or driver is convicted?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, council, we have a motion by Councilman Rose, seconded by Councilman Mayer to amend item H, permit revocation. Insert the items, first sentence, a permit may be revoked if a permit holder or driver, and also in line, the last sentence, a permit holder or driver may appeal the determination of the chief of police to the town manager, whose decision shall be final. Any further discussion on the addition to item H? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Councilwoman Tiffany. Yes, ma'am.
This is a logistic question, I think, and I know it is. I'm a member of the golf course, I drive my cart, and to get my cart from my house to the golf course, do I have to get a permit? So it's permits are basically for only people who are getting on the street with their golf cart.
And going other places other than the golf course.
Okay.
Well,
That's,
Town manager.
no, that's not correct. I thought we just went through this daytime, nighttime thing.
that's the question I have, yeah.
If you're going to the golf course by way of the cart path on the golf cart, you don't have to have it permitted.
Right.
No permit.
If you want it on the street, it's got to be permitted.
No, it's exempt.
That's an exemption. It's
I'm just going to the golf course. To and from.
If I'm going just to and from, it's exempt.
That's why we went
Well-
through the
Help me.
day and night.
Help me.
If the going to and from the golf course, they are exempt from having to get a permit. That's why we went to the daytime. If you just have it where you want to run around town and go to Tom Thumb and all that, but you don't want to put turn signals on, then you just get a daytime permit. But if Fred decides on his way to the golf course that he wants to run down to Tom Thumb and pick up some snacks, he can get a ticket.
That's correct. I would hope I would.
Now, that's very important distinction. I'm just kind of throwing it out there to people who have golf carts or whatever.
What I understood Mr. Khan to say, however, is if he's going to the golf course, he's got to have that equipment on his cart anyway.
He does.
That's because the course requires it.
Exempt from our permitting system.
But if they're just to and from the course, they're
All right.
within state law.
I'm good.
That's my understanding. I mean, it falls under item B, exemptions.
Yep.
So on the exemptions, you don't want any language in there, because you had some discussion about the exemptions having some language in there about having headlights, taillights, rear view mirrors, parking brake, and a horn. But you don't want that in under exemption. You just want to
Under equipment.
handle that completely under daytime operation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I believe
That's
we're
wh- that's where the
fine
amendment-
because
that's where
we-
the-
That's where my
Because
confusion
we already have
too,
state
so.
law defining what's required.
That's where the amendment was inserted, was under
So
B.
this is basically further definition. So those of you that are our golf course members and only operating your vehicle strictly to and from the golf course, then basically this ordinance, you just have to comply with state law. And if you're at this country club, then with the requirements of the country club.
And you cannot go to Tom Thumb between going from your house to the golf course.
Should
Right?
you,
It's a
should
straight
you
line.
do,
That's right.
you are in,
Hey,
you are
that's
in
right.
violation of this ordinance as being proposed.
Absolutely.
You better have a sticker on
You need a,
So the
but-
smart way would do is go ahead and get a sticker.
that's correct.
It's $25.
Yeah,
Okay, council,
that's exactly.
It's getting late.
can we move forward? Is there any other modifications to the proposed ordinance? Councilman Rose.
Effective date.
June the 1st.
Is June the 1st, does that give you time to get your operation? June 1st. Up and running June 1st. Thank you.
So for
I make
clarity.
a motion. I have a motion.
Another one?
Oh, I'm sorry, did you make one?
We started it off with the primary.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're back to that.
Yeah. We're
Sorry.
back to the primary motion.
Sorry, I was trying to trump you.
Okay.
Okay, I believe we're there. We've approved each amendment to the ordinance. And now we need to approve the ordinance, so. As amended. So, we hope everybody got all that stuff. We're now approving ordinance 20-13-11, basically the public safety of a golf cart vehicle. No further discussion. Symbolize by raising your hand in favor. Opposed? We have one opposed. Motion carries 4-1.
You,
Take a break.
You opposed?
I oppose.
Who opposed? Oh,
Councilman Schrader.
Glenn, can we take 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, council likes to have a 5-minute recess, so we are recessed at 8:36. 5 minutes. 14 now. Consider and take appropriate action regarding acceptance of a hazard mitigation action plan grant and authorizing the town manager or his designee to execute all necessary documents. Town Manager Sly.
Yes, sir, thank you. As the council's aware, we were awarded an HMAP, a Hazardous Mitigation Action Planning Grant of $55,000. It was basically a one-to-one match, 50-cent dollar grant. It is a necessary plan to have in place before we can start approaching federal grant programs to help with the cost of storm drainage improvements throughout our community. We don't qualify without an approved hazardous mitigation action plan. We feel very fortunate that we were awarded that. A steering committee has been is in the process of being developed that would include representatives from Denton County, Tarrant County, NISD, the MUD, and several of my management team directors. That steering committee will meet twice, maybe 3 times during the process to develop a hazardous mitigation action plan. We will be able to fold that into the Denton County plan if and when they update theirs, and then just kind of roll with Denton County afterwards. But in the meantime, our match to this particular grant is $48,000. It was budgeted for in the storm drainage fund. That's where it'll be paid for. And we would recommend council to approve the contract with Freese and Nichols to develop that plan with the assistance of the steering committee that has been appointed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sly. Council?
I'd make a motion.
Good.
I would make a motion that the council approve accepting the Hazardous Mitigation Action Plan grant and authorizing the town manager or his designee to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Mayor. I have a motion to accept the hazard mitigation grant. Motion made by Councilman Mayor, second by Councilwoman Tiffany. Any further discussion? Councilman Rose.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I just have a question.
Okay, on page 67 of the council packet, at the very top, town council adopts final HMAP plan. The last sentence says the MUD will adopt the final document. I don't think I can tell the mud what to do.
I don't know that, I know that the mud has to be on the steering committee as an integral component of the mitigation planning.
Okay.
But I will have to verify that with Freeze Nicholas. If you'll recall, this time last year or so, we'd approached the mud to help fund the matching portion of it. They decided against that. It makes sense that they would consider and adopt that plan. I mean, it's going to be an integral component to how we mitigate these hazard conditions that we come up with. You know, whether it's a tornado or flood or whatever the case may be. But I'll have to verify that, and I will do that before we.
Kevin, if you, since we have a member of the board here, Kevin Carr.
I'm speaking as a single person, not any, I'm just clarification. March 20th, we had a meeting when you brought the letter, and we voted and approved that letter saying that we would help participate in the planning.
Right.
Then on April 24th, I believe, we voted again saying we wouldn't give any financial input to it, but the letter was already approved on the March 20th.
Right. They've agreed to participate in the process.
But no money.
Right.
So therefore, the agreement as stated.
I will
be okay.
verify that point.
Okay. Then move to amend the motion that the town manager will verify that point and take appropriate actions within the document.
I'll second the amendment.
Have a motion.
Discussion.
Councilman Rose and a discussion, second by Councilman Mayer to amend the motion to further clarify the MUD's participation in the process in the document. Is there any further discussion to that amendment? Hearing none, all in favor of the proposed amendment? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Councilwoman Tiffany.
No, I don't have, I was just curious, you said someone on your staff would be participating in this, is that correct? Who would
In
that
fact,
be?
Well, Ed Helton will be the project leader.
Good, okay.
And then we've got several persons from my management team, both chiefs. I think Carolyn.
Okay, cool. A lot, a number.
Parks and Rec has a component to it,
Okay.
so we'll,
Okay.
we have just about the entire team.
Sounds like it.
I have one other comment. Just as you're cleaning up, doing a little cleanup on the document, the town's accounting representative is without a name, so I would just add Michael Aguilera in there also, if that's your desired.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Rose. Okay. If there's no further amendments, I'll entertain a motion to accept the,
We just have to vote.
oh, no, parley, my fault. Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor as now amended, so we will now vote for the motion as amended. So all in favor of that? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Okay, moving forward, item 15. Consider and take appropriate action regarding the adoption of a new town logo. Town Manager Sly.
Thank you, council. Boy, this sounds like a retread to me, but the 4B board had asked Stephen and Patricia, or April, to let's get started. The council, or let's try to finish this logo issue. The council's direction to me back in January was to approach the community and the school to see if we couldn't get some fresh ideas. I approached the principal at the school and gave them the better part of 8 weeks, or the deadline of the Friday before spring break, to provide some input, and we incentivized that program for their kids. In the meantime, we had reached out to the community with professional graphic designers to score those, that input. And we wanted to do the same thing for the community, and to reach out to the community. Their ethical tenets won't allow for that to happen. Their professional association won't allow for that to happen because what has happened in the past is, you go out and ask for people to submit their ideas, and what they do is get on the internet and grab an idea that they think is neat or cool or would fit, and in fact has been copyrighted, and somebody's already got that protected. So this panel of graphic designers said we can judge the schools, the kids' participation, because they're actually getting paid, quote unquote, for their services, that being a grade for their effort. The fact of the matter is I got 0 input from the school, and I gave them an extra week because the principal asked me for some additional time. I'm still waiting. I do not have any input from the high school.
Did Linda Parker, sorry to interrupt you, but did Linda Parker give any idea why we're not getting any participation?
She
Are they just busy? Is it a bad time of year? Standardized testing and all that stuff? Or?
She just, she didn't provide that. She said she had it and would email it to me, and she didn't, and I reminded her to email it again, and I got 0 input from the high school. And that's fine. I mean, they are very busy at this time of the year and that kind of thing. So we didn't get a whole lot of effort from the community on purpose, and from the school, unfortunately. So the 4B board then directed and is recommended for the council to reconsider the logo, and that's what before you tonight. Frankly, I know that particular logo is a polarizing issue in our community, and I would be very happy for you to suggest to me that we scrap that logo and never bring it back in front of you again, if that's what you want to do. And we'll we'll go out and start all over again. And and quite frankly, I'll approach the Eisenbergs, whose contract we secured for that purpose, and the website. And we're very, very pleased with their website, but unfortunately, they didn't meet the mail for the logo. So I'll approach the Eisenbergs about discounting their fees because they haven't met the mail. They did not. If in fact you guys are not interested in adopting the proposed or the proposed logo, I'll approach them about a credit toward the website development.
I think you may just answer my question, but so are we under contract with them to do the logo, and we have to let them do the logo, or can we basically say thank you for the website and then get another firm?
I mean, if I'm fairly confident, and I may defer to April. She talks with them much more frequently than I do. I don't know that they're going to be able to come up with additional ideas, or they're done with the logo stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Okay, so we invested, what, $8,000 in this logo? EDCB board.
EDC board has funded that,
EDCB
yes.
funded it. So will they fund the next one?
They might be around.
And if they don't, then the council funds it. I'm sorry, what?
It was more than $8,000.
I thought it was too, so what was it? Do you remember?
No. Well, the total contract was $35,000
Yeah,
with the website.
But that included the website. So I thought it was around $8,000, $10,000 for the logo.
You're correct.
So, in other words, we scrap our $10,000 and go somewhere else.
Well, I do think that we have some opportunity to approach the Eisenberg and say,
recoup some cost.
Well,
I get that you've invested time and effort and resources, but you didn't meet the mail.
Council, I mean, we do have a few speakers that wanted to speak on this. Would you like to hear their comments?
Yes, I would.
Okay, I believe Randy Kahn. Is Randy still here, or did he leave?
No, he
Okay.
thought it was retired.
Larry Hoover.
Larry Huber, 1118 Berkshire Court. I support the logo as presented by the EDC4B board. Okay. Here's a classic example of why the one we have doesn't work.
Right.
I'm looking at it here on the agenda that you passed out. What I see is an oval circle with some white dots. I see two flags. I see a ribbon, can't read anything on it. You can barely make out the word Trophy Club across the top, and there's an obelisk in the middle. Okay. I'm sorry. We need to move forward and get something more modern. The logo that was presented by the EDC4B board does that. You can shrink it. You can change the color. It's still obviously Trophy Club. I'm disappointed that the town manager is trying to give you an out that you don't have to make a decision. I was appalled that you would expect the EDC4B board to pay for it again.
Me too.
Come on, guys. We need to move forward and do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Sean Weaver.
Sean Weaver, 109 Inverness Drive. I can't speak for the rest of the board, but obviously I'm a member of it. I believe we're into year 3 of this process, if I'm not mistaken. When did we originally contract with the Eisenberg?
Over 2011.
11, so coming up on year 2. This has been an issue since I guess maybe where I come back to it is year 3, being on the EDC board. This has been an issue that's been brought up since the very beginning. A couple weeks ago, I attended the Alliance Development Forum over at the Marriott Champion Circle with the towns of Westlake, why am I drawing a blank? Westlake, Justin, Northlake, Roanoke, Hazlitt. Am I missing any of them?
And us.
And us. And, you know, the material that was there that promoted the event and promoted the towns and the booths, basically what we have now on these things is a block letters that say Town of Trophy Club. We're in a competition here with the other towns that are in the Metroport, as those 6 towns are part of, and the rest of the DFW Metroplex as a whole. We need to be competitive. We need to be able to market the town. Having a logo rather than just block letters on material that's going out to potential tenants of the town would be beneficial. And we've gone through this process over and over and over and over and over again. It's been to the visioning committee. It's been through EDC board. We've asked you guys twice on this logo. We've asked the high school, which did not respond. It's time to make a decision, and it's time to move forward with the logo as proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. A couple more, Jim Parle.
Jim Perro, 8 Brookfield Court. I'd like to first of all say that I think what happened with our police vehicles was an outstanding example of community involvement. Those vehicles clearly represent an attractive and well thought out design, which reflects very well on the Town of Trophy Club. The proposed logo that's been around almost as many times as some relatives that I don't want coming back doesn't do that. It doesn't look to me like anything that represents me, my neighbors, or the people I've spoken with. It looks more like something that would be more fitted for a rural community where hay was commonly processed. It has a very strong pitchfork representation, which is what many have told me it looks like to them as well. And I would simply say that if we did so good with the police cars by getting the community involved, is there any reason why we couldn't go out? Now, I've spoken to some people who know people who live in this town that work and operate graphic design companies. And they were told they would do the work for free if they were given the opportunity, because they're proud of their town and they just were never asked. So is there anything that prevents us from going to the community like we do with other things and just asking, is there someone who would like to contribute designs that are not copywritten that the town could consider that more replicated the police car design, something colorful, something picturesque, not something that looks like a foreign flag in some cases or a pitchfork in some cases. This to me just does not represent our community. And I would ask that we look for other options, and some of those could be free if we got the right people involved who live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Philip Schaffner.
Philip Schaffner, 17 Edgemere Drive. I emailed Principal Parker this morning. An hour and 20 minutes, she wrote me back, and she said yes, that they had sent this to their graphic students, and she gave me the contact of Shannon Hallmark, who then wrote me and sent ones that their students had designed. These are rough drafts, and she said that she has her final drafts on her desk, so I just wanted to submit this for the record. I only have one.
Council want to look at? We'll pass this way and get it down to
Oh,
the.
it's all right. I saw him.
Okay, I believe that's my last speaker.
I'd like to say something. Okay,
Go, Tiffany.
I would like to respond to comments made that there are people in this town who have graphic experience and so forth and so on. I have a very good friend in this town who is a professional graphic designer, consultant, who has done significant communication programs for large corporations, and she did not like the original logo. In fact, we had some discussion about it, and so it's just something that we kind of talked about on different occasions. And then in knowing that we were going to have this logo again tonight, I talked with her, and she had, in fact, seen the new logo. Her comments to me, it's professional. By my opinion, the issues had been fixed, and she fully endorses it as being progressive and with traditional elements that will go a long way into the future for Trophy Club. And you know what her bottom line was to me? This is not an emotional decision. It's a business decision. And we have been at this now for 2 years and have spent a lot of money doing it. And absolutely, there are people who do not like this logo. And I can tell you, there are going to be other logos up here that people are not going to like. However, logos come and they get settled in, and then we go down the road. I had 3 people in my home today, long-time Trophy Club residents. I said, did you know there's a change of a logo for the town? No. And you know what? I don't care. And I honestly believe the bottom line, I would dare say, more than 90% of the people in Trophy Club do not even know that this logo is going on. I may be wrong, but let's go to 80%. And how important is the logo except to compete with our competitors out there? That's who's going to see the logo. And that's who cares if anybody cares. I have a strong belief that we need to make a decision, and I would like to make a motion that we approve this new town logo as presented to us by EDCB board. And that's another thing. EDCB has invested a lot of time, effort in this. They presented to the council what they believe to be the best option. And we owe it to EDCB to put it on as a motion.
I'll second your motion.
Mike, let me ask you a question.
just a second.
Sorry.
We do have a motion. I believe that was one there at first from Councilwoman Tiffany to approve the new town logo as submitted in the packet, and that was seconded by Councilman Rose. Go to discussion.
Mike, two questions for you. One is, what is different from the logo today than it was in January?
I'm going to defer that to April.
Is there anything
Is
different?
there any difference?
I don't believe so, no.
Yes, there. Oh,
That was already changed by vision when
Right.
you
So
saw
the
it.
one we said get lost in January is the same one we're seeing today.
n-
Is that what you're telling me?
The,
yes.
I believe so.
Did you see the one with the colors? She did in color.
Oh, yeah. Same logo.
the pointed ends came off of it in the vision committee, correct?
Yes.
And then this revised one has been back to EDC?
Yes. In March, EDC met and received a logo update from Assistant Town Manager Seidel and myself, and were, let's just say, noisy about moving forward with the project and wrapping it up, and asked us to put an action item on the April agenda, which we did, and they were all in agreement that this was something that they were ready to move past and put to bed.
Were they noisy in their support of this particular logo?
Yes, unanimously.
So to also address Councilman Schroeder, there was some changes made by the visioning committee to the logo.
Yeah.
We saw it.
There were. That's
But that was made before we voted.
Yeah,
last
that was
time.
made before we voted in January.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Because they came back with, three
And then send
options.
it back out, yeah.
Yeah.
So then it
Sorry,
has to change.
one more thing. My second point I want to make real quickly is I like some of those things that just was presented from the student body at Byron Nelson. Well, we got a motion on the floor right now, so I can't make another one, I guess. But I would appeal to us to, if there's some stuff waiting on a table just to get submitted to us, let's one more week.
When I looked at the logos there, I find that they are too busy. I think that when you reduce them down.
Well, there was a couple that weren't very, I mean, sorry, I
and-
don't want to
and-
disparage
yeah,
your word,
and
but
no,
I mean.
and the other, my other point, I mean, I could make a point. The discussion about the flag and the clock tower. I understand we have a celebration coming up, and that the citizens on their own have raised funds to buy 12,000 American flags to put on our streets. I don't think you're going to find 10 citizens that'll line up to buy a clock tower to put in front of their house. So I think the town is known for its flags and patriotism. And I think
You're equating that logo with the United States flag?
a flag,
yes, a flag.
a flag.
United States.
In some ways, yet it is not the U.S. flag.
Well,
Clearly
but
not,
that's
but
what
it's a
you're
flag.
comparing it to, Bill.
But if you, well, there it is. We both served under it.
Well, if you can equate that logo to that flag, you live
Yeah.
someplace I don't.
But let me just, wait,
You're-
let me also
it's not the
say,
American flag.
April, when they did the interviews, one of the characteristics that they allotted for Trophy Club is patriotism. Wasn't that correct? Yes, ma'am. Can you expand on any of that?
Well, it was a common theme. One of the primary, I would say the top one, was that this town was known as a patriotic community. And I mean, I go back to the flags at the front entrances every time, and the Stars and Stripes group has just propelled that on a whole nother level. So these are all and I'm referring to the submissions that Mr. Schaffner brought from the high school. Thank you for bringing these. They're all patriotic. They have stars in them. So, I mean, I would like to see the final. I mean, they're sketches on notebook paper.
Right, yeah, they're very rough.
So, just for your edification, I'm perfectly fine with this being tabled and us coming back with some new submissions. We'll do it again.
I don't know, I'd rather just get this logo, I'd rather have a vote on this logo tonight. up or down. I'm tired of looking at it. We have a motion on the floor. I'd like to, and I suggest we vote on this logo, and if we reject it again, I genuinely don't want to see it again.
Okay, council, I haven't commented much tonight. We'll kind of give you a couple things to think about. One is, nothing is obviously permanent here. I know there's been certainly some anxiety amongst staff and certainly the EDC4 board of wanting to get through this. They funded the dollars to get this done. This is what they've came up with, and it's came back to us twice. Should the students or a volunteer from town want to redraft something, it doesn't, if taking this and putting it on, let me back up some. Part of the reason of wanting to going forward here was the town is about ready to release its new website, and it would be very great to have a logo to go work with that. A lot of the costs that you see in the packet and stuff like that is about totally redoing the logos and rebranding and all park structure equipment. That's going to take some time. We can move forward should council allow with this logo, should council approve that way, and we can fine tune. You also have an option to delay this since we didn't think we had any correspondence back from the school, and let April or the town manager finalize that, bring it back in the following agenda, and be able to get some closure here. So with that said, if there's not any further discussion, I'll call for the vote. There's been a motion and a second to accept the town logo as presented tonight. All in favor, raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? It's 3-2. Our town charter states that we have to have 4 for approval, so the motion fails. So
I would like to make a motion. Can I make a motion?
If it's not
you
on the-
can if we're agended for it.
It's on the
It's
agenda.
logo discussion, right?
It's on this topic.
I'd like to make a motion that we direct Town Manager Sly and his staff to reach out again to Byron Nelson High School and ask for final drafts of these documents we saw today.
Okay, I don't know if
We need a motion for that, or just give them direction?
It can just be a direction, I believe.
Okay, I give such direction.
Okay. Council somewhat in occurrence?
No,
No?
I'm satisfied with the current logo.
me too.
Okay.
Is there an opportunity to discuss this request he has? I'd like to know, April, I mean, how is it, do you think, that you did not receive these sketches?
Well, it's clear that these were scanned recently. I mean, she may have just thrown this together because Mr. Schaffner emailed her today. You know, they're not polished. They're literally pencil sketches. So, you know, I'm going to go back to EDC4B, was ready to move forward with this, and we didn't have these logos in our hands, and here's where we're at.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this topic, council? Okay. With that, we'll move on. But I would encourage town manager in April to see if we can't get some closure forward on this so we can move on down the road. Item 16, provide an informational update regarding the master sidewalk plan for Indian Creek Street rehabilitation project discussed and discussion of the same. No action to be taken. Town Manager Sly.
Thank you. Michael, if you'll flip me on. Tom Rutledge is here. I had asked Tom to, as you know, your direction to me and the staff in the moving forward with additional street projects included sidewalks and then median, drought-resistant median designs moving forward. As you know, Indian Creek Rehab is a segment of that, and before we wanted to come forward with the design of that particular program or project, I asked Tom to look at the capability of the connectivity of sidewalks. I don't want to build a sidewalk just because we're rebuilding a street. I want to make sure it can be connected without having undue expense moving down the road. Is there adequate right-of-way to be able to do that with? So I think what we would like to do is give you just, I'm going to ask Tom to kind of review that sidewalk master plan with you, if I can find it. Hold on just a minute. And then
You're working.
Yeah. I was looking for the laser.
and then give you just a general overview of what the project scope of the Indian Creek project includes. We're not going to get into the details of it, but it just didn't make sense to me that we would include sidewalks in the scope of the project if we couldn't connect to it. So go ahead, Tom.
All right, thank you. Well, the Indian Creek project that we're looking to reconstruct right up here at Meadowbrook and then comes around, there's a little bit of a knuckle right there, and then we're just somewhere right in this area. So we've got this project
Let me
right
try to
about
blow
in
it
this
up.
area right in here. And so like Mike said, the thing that we were looking at was whether to go ahead and bid as an alternate in the Indian Creek part to put sidewalks in. What we did on this map is the blue shows you where there are existing sidewalks that are either in or going in. You know, we've got all the stuff up here in Canterbury Hills Center Construction. You've got sidewalks up there. You've got sidewalks on Trophy Club Drive down here. When PD 30 gets built, they'll be required to put sidewalks around PD 30. There's sidewalks right here on Trophy Wood Drive that don't go anywhere, but they just stop there, and that was done as part of the Trophy Wood Drive work. So there are some sidewalks kind of around us here, and so as we came in to look to build this section, rebuild this section of Indian Creek, the question is then, do we do sidewalks? So what I did, like Mike said, I took a look, and I have driven this several times, looking at how we could build a sidewalk all up and down Indian Creek as we improved Indian Creek. And it can be done. Now, it's not just a slam dunk, means we're just gonna go drop sidewalks in there, because there are some things that'll come into play with some landscaping and utilities and things we'll have to go around, but I don't anticipate any major reconstruction of that. And the way it looks to me is that the best place to put the sidewalks would be on up here on the top on the north side of Indian Creek, coming around the east side, and then on the south side. When you take a look at it, if you're on this north side of Indian Creek up here, especially in this area, there's just a lot of things there, improvements there. I know a lot of folks think that they own up to the curb, so they just tend to take possession of it, and so they landscape and improve in it. But it's really that right-of-way extends 9.5 feet behind the curb. So that's where the sidewalk would go, in that area behind the curb. And I've got a slide. Can you advance that slide, Mike?
Well,
or do you have that section that I sent to you?
No. Hold on, just I have to find it. No, this is all that you get. That's all that Mike sent me.
Okay, all right. Well, I just drew up there's a typical section plan, but anyway, what that would be is that looking at a section of it, the sidewalk would be about 4.5 feet behind the curb,
sidewalk would be 4 foot wide, so it would stay within the right-of-way.
I may have that.
Once the sidewalk is put in, then obviously that area between the sidewalk and back of curb would be reestablished with sod or landscaping and the irrigation system. There you go. So that's what we're looking at here. Typical section on this side of Indian Creek, here's the curb, 4.5 feet, then you have a 4 foot walk, and you're still that foot there that left of the existing right-of-way. And a typical plan, you can kind of see how the sidewalk then would run parallel to Indian Creek. When you come to a typical street intersection, there'd be handicap ramps installed to meet the ADA requirement. Some places will have to reconstruct some of the drives, and then other places, the drive approaches have already been constructed to anticipate a sidewalk section. So we've looked at all that and have an idea of what it'll take to do that. Now, that doesn't mean we'll do all that sidewalk connectivity with the Indian Creek project. We haven't programmed it that way. But this is our opportunity that if we're going to go in and reconstruct Indian Creek, if we're going to do the sidewalks, then this is the time to do that, to put that in there.
And the scope of this particular project would include sidewalks. And that's kind of a segue into reviewing the Indian Creek project. And if you give me just a minute.
I'd have to do some significant research, but I seem to recall that numerous years ago there was either a resolution, probably a resolution at council, that the sidewalks would be installed on the main thoroughfares. I know that there was some construction done after that where it was not done, but.
Okay.
Well, I know that's been a polarizing issue in our community in the past, but you have provided clear direction to us as we continue to move and grow in our community. You want to be a sidewalk community, and and it just made sense to me that we would look at that as you know, in the big picture, just to make sure that we had the capability to connect. I didn't want to have to build sidewalks that didn't connect anything.
And if you're moving back 8 foot, 9 foot off the curb line, I can see why you went to the outside, because getting through the Trophywood intersection on Indian Creek, I think they're probably about 3 foot there to that 12-foot wall, something like that.
Okay.
Mr. Tabor loses a lot of his property. Mr. Tabor, I think, still owns that.
Council, any questions of Mr. Rutledge?
What we'd like to do is just take 5 or 10 minutes to talk about the scope of the Indian Creek project and kind of lay the groundwork for you, because this project too will become very emotional, especially to those who live on Indian Creek in the affected areas or who drive that area on a daily basis. And I thought it would be important to at least lay the groundwork for you guys to say, here's what's coming. So you want to talk through the scope?
Certainly. So we kind of zoom in now on this, because here we have an aerial. We're basically coming up here north of Edgemere. This section of Indian Creek that goes from about this point south was reconstructed somewhere around, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. I think I have to go back and look, but several years ago we reconstructed a portion of Indian Creek going south. So we're going to start from that point, and we would go both lanes all the way up around here. Here's the creek crossing right here. Here's Skyline Drive. Come on around, and then here is Meadowbrook. So we would capture that intersection of Meadowbrook, and we'll talk about Meadowbrook here in a little bit. So that's the limits of the reconstruction that we would have there. We've actually looked at this little cul-de-sac area in here and looked at that with Ed and the staff, and it's really in good shape. Just serves these homes around here, and it just doesn't seem practical to really go and reconstruct that at this time. The pavement is in good shape, and so we feel like it'd probably be best just to leave it alone. It'll make the reconstruction a lot easier. As part of that, not only do you have the street reconstruction part, but then there are 2 or 3 really key components of that in addition to the reconstruction of the street. We have, the mud is having us to replace this existing 10-inch water line, and as we've tried to encourage them, the water lines on a lot of the water lines on the older section of town are the old AC pipe, and Glenn probably understands what that is. That's the old asbestos pipe. It's brittle. It's been in there since the 70s. A lot of issues with maintenance when the soil moves. Gonna go put in a new street. Boy, this is the time to replace it with new PVC. So they've agreed to do that. And so we have a contract with them that the mud will pay for that part of it. So that'll be an integral part of the reconstruction of Indian Creek through here. The other part is related to the drainage. The town has contracted with Friesen Nichols. They did study, this is one of the studies they did with the creek crossing down here. We've been working with Friesen Nichols to try to get an appropriate sized box culvert that'll work with the street. And so we've worked out some details with that. So that box culvert is going to be constructed when we do the street. So down the road, when you do decide that creek improvement, that you're ready to take that on, then the box is in place, and then it's upstream, downstream of this creek here to do those improvements. And so that's what'll happen when that takes place. We also have some drainage that needs to take place in an additional storm drain system on both sides of this. What we're trying to do is, using the current drainage criteria that's been adopted by the town for all your new developments, we're looking at the storm drain system to make sure that it is adequate, which basically means that we're containing the drainage within the paved area for a 5-year storm. On a 100-year event, it stays within the right-of-way. Well, there's some sections here of Indian Creek that when you get up into this portion here, it exceeds that. We don't meet the criteria. So we're looking to bring a storm drain system up in here to pick that drainage up. And that's part of what will be a future phase with the master plan that Friesen Nichols is going to be doing. Well, the last thing we want to do is go spend all this money for all these street improvements, have them come behind us and say, well, wait, we need to have a storm drain system, then we're going to go tear up new streets. So we're trying to be smart about that. The other part is, like Mike alluded to, is then what happens with the medians in here. And there are trees.
Before you get to the medians,
Okay.
He's actually talking off a presentation that I was going to make, so
Okay.
he doesn't know what
go
this
ahead.
chart.
I'll let you have it.
The reason I throw this aerial back up there is because what I'm asking Tom to do in the scope of this project as an additive alternate is to consider replacing the street rehabbing Meadowbrook it's about 200 feet or so, wouldn't you say, Tom?
It would go, we would take it to somewhere right, oh no, I think Ed said
Yep.
we would go here
Yep.
all the way up here.
And if you look real closely at that, you'll see that on the west side of Meadowbrook, those folks who drive Meadowbrook on a routine basis will tell you that there is constant water in the curve. And it's a result, we think, of a high water table anyway, but there's also sub-drainage systems, people putting French drains into the curb. It is green and slimy. I mean, we have a drainage issue that needs to be resolved about the first 200 feet of that road. So what we would anticipate is making some drainage improvements and replacing about 200 feet of Meadowbrook as an alternate to our bidding process. It wouldn't be included in the basic scope. We could make a decision later on whether or not we wanted to include that piece of it and knock that and get rid of that issue for those residents along Meadowbrook. Okay? All right, so here's the other piece that I wanted Tom to talk about.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the existing medians, this right here is pretty much where the I mentioned where the pavement, well, there it is right there, where the pavement stops, you can kind of see where this is newer pavement, where we have the older pavement. When we get into the reconstruction, we're going to be stabilizing the subgrade behind the curbs a couple of feet. So what's going to happen when we go down through here, we're going to be tearing up all the roots of all these existing trees and these medians. Chances are we're going to kill them. We're going to have lime in there, changes the pH content of the soil, and lime and vegetation don't go well together. So as we have always done with all the main street reconstructions, Trophy Club Drive and Indian Creek, we have always reconstructed the medians and have upgraded those to what is kind of a standard palette for you guys. But we have worked with staff to look at some things along here, because Indian Creek, as we moved up, is a little bit different than what we've done on like around the roundabout and in the new development up to the north off of Trophy Club Drive. So all of these trees, and these are mostly all Bradford pears, they pretty much have at the end of their life cycle anyway. So you know, they're probably have very few years left in them as it is, and so all those trees will be coming out of there. And then down in here's where the project, where the median's in, where's where the bridge is. We've got some trees down here that we'll have to take out with the construction of the box culvert. We're going to have to remove those trees as well.
And I want to show you this particular slide because those particular trees are relatively new. They're not Bradfords. And we're going to make every effort, and we need to do that sooner than later, to try to harvest and replant those trees somewhere else in town. I'd hate to take, you know, relatively young trees, and it would be expensive. I mean, about the only way we could get it done would be to bring a spade truck in and spade those trees, and that's not a cheap process, and it needs to be done. I mean, we're talking about this project taking off in the heat of the summer, and you know, we might be able to salvage. I think we would have a better chance of survival with those by harvesting those trees if we did them sooner than later, and not try to do it in the middle of the summer. So, I mean, we're talking about some immediate impact to our community, and we'll, you know, April is very good about getting word out to those areas. And we have every intention. I think we've kind of targeted June 13th as a town hall meeting for everybody that would be impacted by this particular project that lives on that that fronts out on those on this particular street. We feel like getting ahead of the game with the residents, with the contractor, to explain to them what's about to happen to them and how they're going to get their water services and utilities, and you know what happens when I can't get into my driveway and I've got groceries. All of those concerns we're going to try to get out in front of before we start turning dirt. But we want to be able to, we think we can have the contract awarded in time for the contractor to be there. I think it's critical that that contractor be there and see these residents who are going to be impacted, because he's the one that's going to impact them the most. Okay?
Can we get those trees out of there before June 13th? That's
well, I'm saying we're going to get busy on that just as quick as we can.
Yeah,
I just think that it's going to be so important if we have any chance of survival for those 4 or 5 trees down through there, that we're just going to have to get after it.
because they should be starting to bud out. I haven't looked been down there. but they
And
should be close to
I
that.
suspect that we'll get some feedback and some pushback, but that's called progress, right? And that's exactly what we're about, and we're.
I want you to start this in June, that's when I'm on vacation.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot more to this project, but at least I thought it would be important to kind of lay the groundwork to let you know what's coming and what we've got to do sooner than later.
So when do you think the earliest you could move those trees would be?
As soon as I can get Parks and Rec motivated, and I didn't want to do that before I shared that with you and the public.
Hey, Tom, just a quick question. I mean, obviously hard to tell from your details there. You and I talked about the box culvert and going to a larger box culvert going underneath there.
Correct.
Part of Friesen Nichols' plan, which they still may be tweaking, is to improve the drainage off between 4 and 5 of the golf course, and I believe that involved expanding and upsizing some of the storm drain, and I thought it came down Timber Ridge and either came into that box or came in a couple of those options. So are we gonna get that storm
You
drain
bet.
in
I'm
place?
glad, that's a great question. That's part of the coordination that we've done with them, is when we put the new box, we're going to run a storm drain system up Indian Creek, set a storm drain manhole, and stub it up Skyline and stop it there at our project. Set that up so when Friesen Nichols does their drainage project, then they just hook onto it.
Okay.
So we've gotten all of the storm drain cues that they need to make sure we've sized the storm drainage system adequately and what they've given us, and so that has all been plugged into our design. So flow line elevations, pipe sizes, and locations have all been coordinated with Friesen Nichols for that work.
Okay, good deal. Hate to tear up new concrete.
Oh, yeah.
old
No,
concrete.
great point, and there's a lot of effort going in there to make sure that we're making those coordinations work.
Thank you, Tom. Council, any other questions for
I'd,
Rutledge?
that particular area you're talking about, I'd expressed concern about bringing that line down Skyline, that there might be an opportunity to take it between two houses where a current pipe's at, so.
Well,
I don't know
you
whether
know,
that's been
we
resolved.
actually studied that
Okay.
many years ago, and there is like a 36-inch storm drain line that does run between those two houses
Yes.
and a drainage easement. And the practicality of that is that you're gonna have to have at least another 36-inch, maybe a 48-inch storm drain that would run parallel to that. You'd have to take out all of that those people's driveway in there and get it into the creek, and then when you make the future creek improvements, it gets complicated. So Friesen Nichols knows that option. We've had that conversation with them. They've just determined that this was the cleaner way to do that.
Okay.
But a valid comment, and I assume that they've looked and weighed those out and feel like this is the lesser of two evils.
Any further, council? Okay.
Good deal.
Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Rutledge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Sorry you had to wait so long.
Oh, it was interesting.
At least you could laugh.
Hey, I've done that logo thing, our company rebranded, and so I know your pain.
And you can now be a consultant on the golf cart community too, so. Okay. Moving forward to item 17, consider and take appropriate action regarding the award of a contract to Jamel and Smith Construction for rehabilitation and construction services for the police department facility and authorizing the town manager to execute the necessary documents. Town Manager Sly.
Thank you, sir. We have studied this particular issue front ways, back ways, sideways. The staff's recommendation is for you to consider engaging this buy-board contractor, Jamel and Smith. The buy-board contractor allows us to forego, in the interest of timing, the competitive seal bid process. Their numbers are competitive with what we went out and got competitive seal bids on specific issues that had to be done. This is a turnkey operation. It's a not to exceed number. I fully anticipate, I know that he included everything in the kitchen sink to get that building back up and running. The Chief Niffen and I will visit with the contractor about the need for some of the things that are priced, with the understanding that we need to get this particular building habitable and operational without building a Taj Mahal that we'll be sorry to take down in a couple of years. It would be staff's recommendation to approve this particular bid with a not to exceed number. the contractor would be prepared to start this week, take about 30 days to get it ready, and 30 days later, we would have the police department moving back into their old facility, which is not, an exciting proposition for the police department. They've already been there temporarily for the last 17 years. And, now we're asking them to hang on another couple. But it's going to take that long to provide for a permanent facility. So it would certainly be the staff's recommendation that we award this bid and move forward and get the police department back in their facility and out of the fire department. And Chief Niffen and I are both making that recommendation with the understanding that, it's a morale issue for the police department. And I think it's really important that the police department recognize and hear from the council that there is a future permanent solution in the works.
I'll make a motion that the council approve the awarding of the contract to Jamil and Smith Construction for rehab and construction services for the police department, authorizing the town manager to execute all the necessary documents.
And the amount not to exceed.
Well, let me click over to the proposal. What's the amount, Mike?
$97,964.74.
And the amount of $97,900 and what?
$964.74.
$964.74. 24 hours a day.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Mayer, second by Councilwoman Tiffany to approve a contract to Jamel and Smith Construction for the rehab of the police station for a price not to exceed $97,964.74. Council, any discussion on this?
Yes.
Councilman Rose.
What was the insurance allowed?
The initial payment from the insurance settlement was approximately $52,000. I don't have it down to this exact penny, but approximately $52,000.
If the cost is greater to do the repair, we can go back to the insurance company for an additional claim, correct?
Well, the discussions we had about accessing the additional $25,000 related to if we replaced the building.
If we
So
tore
I
the
don't-
building down.
We're
So the insurance company is saying that you can do the work for $54,000?
52.
$52,000.
As much as I hate to have made this motion, because I hate putting money into that building when I know we're going to tear it down, but considering all the other options that are available to us, this is the most cost-effective way to house the police department for the next 2 years. I'm very concerned about the morale of the police department, and I know that I would hate to be working in that building, I'll just say that. But for the citizens of Trophy Club, this is by far the most viable financial option that we have under the circumstances.
I will just share with you. I mean, we're going to put a little lipstick on this pig, right? We're going to replace the carpet. We're going to paint the walls. I'm actually going to erect a partition wall for an ACO, Animal Control Officer office, back by the ACO. It is the most efficient and operationally efficient proposal that we've investigated.
And quickest.
And they stay in town and continue to do their work.
I think the comment is time is money. The other side of the equation is the letter that I have from the MUD said 3 years. There are 19 months left on that. When you get this done in 30 days, you're down to 18 months. So I just want people to be aware. Expediency has a price.
I don't find the mud to be so unreasonable. I mean, they're looking at a timeline. I don't think they have an etched in stone timeline. If we were 30 days or 60 days beyond that, I don't think they would evict the police department. They might, but the option is we can pay greater rents now and move out, or if when it comes to that time, if the mud needs that property, we can vacate and rent, but it'll still be far less than if we start renting right now. This is the most financially sound and quickest way to handle the needs of the police department.
Well, I think by doing the interior changes and kind of upgrade some color a little here and there, it will be a nice place to call home for a while. And,
We probably need to hire a comedian for them, just keep
well,
him down there.
We just get a decorator in there and decorate that place. But I think it's a great solution to a critical problem. And I have a question, and this kind of comes from, is the soil there deemed hazardous now?
I had a second opinion, and I've included that in your packet. Initially, ServPro came out when we had the discharge. I mean, he sat there and showed me his smartphone pictures and talked about the contamination and what it would take. And that's where we ended up identifying 2 feet of dirt being replaced and all that kind of business. The fact is, the mud vac truck came out and sucked it out. I know that we have some remediation to do with some of the piers underneath the building. And there's still some additional dirt work to be done, but it won't be as significant as what we had first thought it would be.
Okay. Well, I had just noticed too that there is something here designated to deal with the soil.
Yeah, I think
Some lime
I think the total cost is like $750 or something like that, and that's included in that contract
There was
price.
just an interesting discussion that I heard on the mud regarding the soil. And I just wanted some clarification.
Anything further there? Yeah, just, I guess from my 2 cents point, I mean, it's nothing to do with our town, but unfortunately, there are sewer backups all around the country all the time, and you have that. It's not, I mean, you do have a cleanup, sometimes you have a smell order, but it's not a hazardous process. There's a way to, in other words, you're not having to go to a full HAZCOM container shipped off, testing, normally just a matter of time. What the mud generously helped us out with their back truck probably took care of most of that, stuff like that. Again, there's usually some remedial deal there. Those you don't know, that's a modular building. Modular buildings are usually over time will settle and move around, and that's because they don't have a structural foundation system underneath them. They have a temporary shoring process, and what I was busy looking at my computer screen at was the detail estimate that was tied in what they were doing. So only question I had was for the chief, is that I'm sure your team's aware of the proposal in front of the council, and they should be aware that this is obviously not a permanent solution, but a temporary one to be able to get them back. Do you feel your team will be supportive of the process?
Yes, sir, we realize this is a temporary solution to a difficult problem. We also realize as members of this department and members of this team here that we have an obligation to look at the options that is going to cost the least, that's going to get us back into some type of facility the quickest so we can continue with our work and move on from here. So I don't believe that you'll have an issue with the improvements that we're planning on making in the building. New flooring and paint and things of that nature. Clean up of the mess underneath the patrol room. We've got some plans underway to change some office space around so that we'll have a little better workflow. And I think all those things together will go a long way.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Well, I just have to say, 2 months ago, when all of this started, it was like, what is, how is this going to be resolved? And I think you guys did a great job in looking at the different options and making the best solution for your people. It's not been easy.
No.
Right.
Any further discussion, Councilman Rose?
When you did the review using your engineering expertise skill set, did you notice anything of particular outstanding in the bid? Look pretty standard to
Yeah,
you?
well, what they have, general conditions and stuff, I mean, this is a pretty quick project, and for, $100,000, or less than $100,000 to do, to rehab that amount of square footage, the doors and stuff like that, redo the foundation, it's pretty cost effective, so, that doesn't look out of line to me at all, and especially if they're able to get it done in 30 days. So.
It might be beneficial to arrange a before and after tour of the council.
I'll come after.
Danny's on the after tour.
In our golf cart.
Well, I think there's good news, bad news. The good news is there doesn't seem to be suitable office space for this size of an operation around that's available. The bad news is I guess that's the bad news. The good news is what would be available is in use and generating sales tax. So you're basically, in a lot of ways, stuck with what you see.
Well, the further comment, like I said, they use an estimating system with basically that ties into RS means, which is standard cost system, and then you make adjustments from that system to the area that you're at, the market and stuff like that. So when I first looked at it, I said, their general conditions are pretty high, and then like I said, then I had to study it a little bit more.
Put those factors in.
Yeah, because the 178,000 is a little, obviously a little high, but then when you do the adjustments to that process, then I think it's a pretty fair offer. Any other further discussion, council? Okay, we have a motion and a second on board to award this contract. All in favor of awarding the contract at $97,000? Change. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, council. Item 18, consider and take appropriate action regarding the March 2013 monthly financials. Michael, you've been waiting a long time. I'm sure you're pumped up. Floor is yours, sir.
All right, Council, I know you've had a chance to look at the financials. It's an important month because it's the mid-year point, and at the next council meeting, we're planning on doing a mid-year report, which is a little bit more detailed than what we present monthly. As far as revenues go in the general fund, sales tax is doing fairly well. We're still above collections for last year, so there's no real concern there. We're still hopeful we're going to make our budgeted amount for this year. There were some revenue categories that we're looking at. I guess I'd call them like a yellow light. It's just we're looking at them. We're not too concerned, but one of those being fines and fees. I had a discussion with Chief Niffen about it today. I had a discussion with our municipal court about it. Fines and fees is not something that we go out and we start writing tickets because we need money. So it's not something that, I don't want you to think that was the line of discussion that we had earlier. But what has held up, I think, a little bit of that revenue has been the software change that we made in the court software. I spoke with our court administrator, and we're aware of the fact that that change has held up a little bit of processing that we would normally do for warrants and things like that. We obviously have a plan in place to get caught up. And one of the things I mentioned in a prior meeting, I think it was about a month or two ago, was the fact that we had some deferred revenues that were not recognized last year. And that was a problem. Obviously, you want it in the right year, but when we do recognize that, it will be recognized in this fiscal year. So the fact that we had some from last year that didn't get recorded, it's going to go into this year, and it's going to push us back up. So I'm not too concerned about fines and fees making the budgeted amount for this year. Charges for services, I spoke with Chief Thomas about this, looked at our collections. We had a really abnormal month of collections in December. Normally for EMS collections, obviously you're aware, we do bill people that we transport who are not residents. We bill their insurance and send it to collections. They make collections on it, and they get us revenue back. For some reason in December, that collection amount was very low. So I'm going to make a call to our collection agency and kind of double check that number. But compared it to last year, it's a little bit low where we were compared to last year, but we'll see what happens with that. It's fairly smooth in collections, but we're monitoring it. I also want to make a comment as well. You saw it in the packet, but licenses and permits. Obviously, permitting has picked up recently. We're pretty confident we're still going to make budget, but in that category is also franchise, and so franchise fees, the big ones, electric, gas, those usually don't come in until May. So I wouldn't be concerned by the fact that it's extremely low at this point. Those two big ones come in, and you're going to see a big jump in that percentage. As far as expenditures, the only new one that I think we've mentioned it before. I had Kristen put it back on the description again because I'd forgotten about it. So I figured if I'd forgotten about it, then you might have forgotten about it. P&Z, with regards to engineering, we know we have some developments that are out there that were not anticipated. Meetings associated with PD30, Trophywood, Lakeview, and there was a note there as well that Carolyn has indicated that the ISD has agreed to reimburse us for some of those costs that we didn't anticipate. Because it is March financials, we are doing our TCP report again. We didn't make a whole lot of modifications to what we did last time. We did make a couple of changes as far as trying to capture administrative costs. You can see in Director Adams' notes that he did include an estimate of administrative time that he spent in subcommittee meetings associated with Trophy Club Park, and he included a calculation for his time. You can see fire, we didn't have any dispatch calls to TCP during the first calendar year quarter. Police department had 8 dispatch calls, which we use an average amount to calculate those hours and costs. I did note in the notes there's not a discrepancy, but there's a number that doesn't agree. It's 2 rounds of maintenance that were done, not 3. You can see it on the bottom. The calculation is 2 rounds worth of maintenance. So I wanted to note that. It was associated with the general area and the gardens. And just last note, Adam did go ahead and with Manager Sly's approval, just to include those volunteer hours that are associated with maintaining Trophy Club Park, so you can see it. You have any questions? Happy to answer them.
Council, any questions?
And as I said, you'll get a mid-year report here at the next meeting, and there'll be a little bit more detail, and there'll be a PowerPoint that we go over, similar to last year, with some added data that we've discussed with Town Manager Sly.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Move to approve the March 2013 financials.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Rose, second by
Schrader.
Schrader. It's getting late. See, it's past my bedtime. It's 10 o'clock.
hadn't even got
Councilman
started.
Schrader.
You better wake up.
to approve the March 2013 financials as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you, Michael.
Motion's approved unanimously. Okay, moving forward. Item 19, Town Council Liaison Updates, EDC 4B meeting. Me. There was a EDC 4 meeting April 15th. It was fairly quick. Probably two key items on the agenda was the discussion about the logo, which I think we have discussed, and their heartfelt thanks. They also are working towards an economic development strategic planning meeting to run out in the future. The other key items was Assistant Town Manager's Seidel's update on the Alliance Forum. The 2013 ICSC Texas Conference, which is held up here at the Gaylord again, is coming up. We do have some nice activity at the Shops Trophy Club. Trophywood there's some interest that's continued to come forward on that. Same with the Village Center, the Plaza, and then the Commons is getting ready to kick off its second phase. So it's an exciting time for the town of construction. They did have an exec session, but no action was taken from that executive session. And their next meeting is May 13th. Any questions?
Did I see correctly that Cheers has moved in?
They're moving.
I understand they're here. I believe the CO has been done, and will be opening their doors shortly. I guess they're stocking.
They were stocking recently. Okay, good.
And Hampton Inn has a grand opening.
And there are
Next
cars out in front of Hampton Inn. Did you notice that?
May 2nd.
May 2nd on the grand opening.
Yes.
They were
May 2nd will
full.
be the grand opening. Yes, they had a successful. They were open prior to the race weekend.
They were
That
over-
was very successful for them, and
We drove
glad to
last-
have them. And they do look pretty booked.
Yeah, they're got cars out there.
Okay. Item 20, Town Manager slides updates regarding the following in discussion of the same: feasibility study and TML meeting coming up.
Just very briefly, know that we have received the feasibility RFQs, and this is a study of existing municipal facilities and future facilities. We'll be interviewing, I think we've pared it down to 3 of those architectural firms, and we'll be interviewing them next week and hopefully have a recommendation for you at the May 6th meeting to get busy about the feasibility study. Likewise, as Mayor Pro Tem Strother has indicated, there is a lot of economic development activity, both in the PD 30 area as well as PD 25 down by the Hampton Inn. And as a result, the EDC 4B board is anxious to go ahead and pull the trigger. They're funding the creation of TIF zones. Council will eventually have to approve that, but that's something that we've talked about in the past. So we are currently out with qualifications, RFQs, for a consultant to help us create the 2 separate TIF funds, so that we don't commingle TIF dollars between the various projects, okay? So I'm very excited about that process, and that should take about 90 days once we have a consultant engaged to create those TIF zones, or TIRZ, tax increment reinvestment zones. The second item, TML-IEBP, is a quarterly meeting that I attend, and just wanted to let you know I'd be out of town starting Wednesday afternoon the rest of this week. Wednesday afternoon through Friday, I'll be returning back to town on Saturday. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Town Manager?
I just comment on the article that you sent to the council regarding the business growth and partnerships and so forth in Colleyville. Y'all remember that, Colleyville and
Incentive article.
what? Oh,
The incentive.
that was a great article, and I was with a Colleyville council person this past week, and she talked about how that has been so helpful for them. And so the opportunity is real.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's important that we jump in there and start looking at that. Ooh, looking.
Exciting times and
It is.
opportunities.
It is.
Item 21, items for future agenda. Council, you've got items in your packet there, 10 items, and we've already discussed item 10 about getting that up to the agenda. For Councilman Schroeder.
Do we have any updates on when we can talk about items 4 and 5? Sign ordinance and ballpark signage? Sorry to throw you a curveball there.
No, but that's fine. I mean, I would love to tell you that that is on the front burner.
Sure.
But today.
Yeah.
Today we received about an hour and a half phone call. I would anticipate by Friday another project submitting site plan, the whole enchilada. And every time those come in, that obviously takes a priority for the same people who review this or reviewing the sign ordinance. We know it's there. We have a strong desire to get that in front of you, but it is a very complicated and very sensitive ordinance. It is, for everything from election signs to real estate signs to what businesses in our community can and can't do. It's a very sensitive topic, and I don't have a date for you on the sign ordinance.
I'm sure it's just an oversight, but at the last council meeting, I had asked, we put on for future agenda, residential renewal, either through tax abatements or whatever, and I'm sure it's an oversight that that's not on that list.
It's not on that list, and it's an oversight, but we're actually going to put that in front of 4B.
Okay.
As a
But we would want it on ours to know, to be expecting it
Yes.
from 4B, wouldn't we?
We'll get it on there. Somebody over there making a note.
Thank you for the reminder, Councilman Mayor. Okay, anything else on the future agendas? If not, our next item is we're going to go into executive session. Now, I did have a speaker. Larry, do you want to address the council before we go into executive session?
Yep. You won't let me do it during the session.
That's true. Okay, Mr. Hoover.
Larry Hoover, 1118 Berkshire Court. I'm not going to reiterate the email I sent to council members yesterday. If you recall, last year at this time, we had a very hysterical election cycle over PD 30, and at the town manager's request, we extended his contract from 3 years to 4 years. I don't think that's necessary anymore. I would just ask the council to revert back to the normal 3-year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Okay, item 22. Pursuant to Texas Government Code annotated Chapter 551, council will convene in the closed executive session as authorized by A, Section 551.071, consulted with attorney for consultation with its attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the board for the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Open Meeting Act's 551.071. Item 1, water and wastewater services terms of interlocal agreement regarding lease and conveyance of utility systems, assets, and provision of retail water and wastewater services approval of parameters and representation and related matters. Item B, Section 551.074, to deliberate the appointment, employment evaluation, reassessment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. Item 1, annual evaluation of town manager Mike Sly.
Are you finished?
Yes, ma'am. We will go into town executive session at 10:15.
Are we gonna meet in here? No. I don't like meeting in here.
Okay, it is 11:38, and council is now back in regular session. Item 23, to reconvene in regular session and take any actions necessary as a result of the closed session. Do I have any motions?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to pursue a retail arrangement with the MUD and direct our attorney to draft a counter proposal with a goal for delivering of the proposal to the MUD in May.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to direct the town attorney to, or attorney to get a draft of the counter proposal with delivery, I assume, in May of this year.
Yeah, May 2013. Make that May
Okay.
2013.
Council, any further discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, raise aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there anything further?
I have a motion. I move to direct the town attorney to amend the employment agreement of town manager Mike Sly as discussed in executive session and authorize Mayor Pro Tem to execute all necessary paperwork.
Second.
I think I heard a second here first. We have a motion from Councilman Mayer, seconded by Councilman Schroeder.
Oh, I need to amend that. I'm sorry. Effective May 16th. We don't have to have don't we have to have an effective date?
Sure.
Sure. May 16th effective date. I amend it to be effective May 16th.
You okay with it?
Yeah, I'll approve. Second.
This is technically not an amended motion, you just.
Okay. Added to it.
Correct? Okay. So we have a motion and a second regarding the employment agreement with town manager Sly. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned at 11:40.